And so you buy these intangibles and you get nothing, really.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, May 28th, 2015. Time for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination. This is episode 725.
This is No Agenda.
Still high and dry and broadcasting live from FEMA Region 6 in the downtown Austin, capital of the Drone Star State. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we're wishing for rain, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
You know, we have not used our rain sticks recently.
I don't think the time's now.
Well, not for me, but for you, perhaps.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I think there's 12 people dead, another 13 or 14 missing. There you go. That'll do it. That's the ticket. Nice. Anyway, I was saying it's pretty bad here.
Complaining letters later.
It was bad. He was bad.
Yeah, there's a bunch of dead people.
Yeah, dead people. And
terrible.
Lamar was flooded the other day. What is going on with all that? Although this is by no means unprecedented.
No, of course not, especially down there in those flood plains. They're all over the place. They would get flooded out, and then a developer comes along and says, look at all this cool property. Let's build another housing tract on it.
But of course, it took a little while, but what I'm getting is all kinds of emails and, are you okay? From Europe, obviously, but also from the U.S. Yeah, you look at the footage, you think, I can barely keep my chin above water here. But downtown,
you're like in the 60th floor or something on a massive skyscraper in downtown Austin.
78th. What are you talking about? Yeah. But even here in the front, everything's pretty good. But it is expected to rain for the rest of the month, and probably into halfway through June.
The month? Are you kidding?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Yes, 2 more days. Now, and well into June. We'll see.
Oh, that's right. The month's almost over.
But you know what this is all about, obviously.
I have a clip that tells you what it's about.
I have a clip that tells us what it's about, too. I will play yours first. What is it?
Let's see. I'm looking for it. I've got too many clips.
Texas floods, I guess.
Texas floods. Yep.
Ken Bell of San Marcos, Texas. The heat wave and floods came as protests against the fossil fuel company.
Wait a minute. What heat wave?
She says it's a heat wave and floods. and as she continues to talk, you'll understand why she said heat wave. So I'm going to ask you now. You're there.
Yes,
is there a heat wave? So the rain coming down is hot?
Yes, it's scalding my skin. No, of course not. Although the typical Austin weather, this is not abnormal. You have rain and it's 75 one day, just storm crazy. And then the next day, it rains in the morning and then it's 92 degrees. And then it goes down again. This is Austin. This is what happens. But heat wave? No.
Ken Bell of San Marcos, Texas. The heat wave and floods came as protests against the fossil fuel company.
She's going to, oh man, hold on. She's going to talk to a guy in San Marcos and he's going to affirm that there's a heat wave in San Marcos.
Okay, let me start.
45 minutes from here. Huh?
I cut the San Marcos guy out.
Okay.
I'm doing the transitions where she associates the flooding with the oil refineries, and guess what?
Yeah, I know.
Ken Bell of San Marcos, Texas. The heat wave and floods came as protests against the fossil fuel companies largely responsible for climate change faced protests across the United States. On Sunday in Santa Barbara, California, residents protested a major oil spill, which has killed wildlife and soiled beaches. In Bellingham, Washington, 2 protesters suspended themselves from the anchor chain of a ship to oppose Shell's plans to drill for oil in the Arctic. Chiara D'Angelo hung from the anchor of the Arctic Challenger from Friday till Monday morning, while fellow protester Matt Fuller joined her for 22 hours on Saturday and Sunday. Meanwhile, the University of Hawaii has voted to divest its $66 million endowment from fossil fuels, becoming the largest university to heed the growing divestment movement to date.
All right. Got it. May I play mine?
Oh, yeah.
I got a couple. Since we're starting off on the Agenda 21 climate change stuff, we might as well power through it. I know I promised not to do it, but it's very hard.
Oh, no.
Yes. You know who it is.
I know who it is.
Chris Matthews. from MSNBC.
According to the National
I thought it was the other one.
No.
According to the National Climate Assessment, climate change contributes to harsh weather conditions like the flooding in Texas and the drought in California happening right now. Experts predict changing extremes in precipitation are projected across all seasons, including higher likelihoods of both increasing heavy rain and snow events and more intense droughts, all at the same time.
All at the same time, John. All at the same time.
Institute of Columbia University, Dr. Jeffrey Sachs. Dr. Sachs, when you look at these two situations, I'm just going to free flow it here, or free flow it in terms of information. Yeah. What do you see in terms of the terrible...
Now, this is from Columbia University. This entire division or department or whatever you call it is dedicated to educating people about the dangers of man-made climate change, which consistently now, I need to point it out again, has been shortened. We went from global warming, man-made global warming, man-made climate change to climate change. And I can't argue. Climate change happens, absolutely. But we just somehow in the vernacular, we've dropped the man-made part, which is very tricky.
Drought, the terrible flooding down there. Is it something that's moved across the Pacific? What it was supposed to drop historically in California now is dropping somewhere else? How do you see it?
Well, there's a lot of disruption around the world. This is going to be the hottest year on record. There are massive heat waves, there are droughts, there are floods.
Yeah, it's all horrible. Okay. Now, here's what happened. The president has his new Twitter account, which...
Wait, can I stop you and throw a clip in the middle?
Oh, of course.
Now, you've brought up a question in my mind.
Okay.
Because we hear these guys constantly predicting one thing or another, and then... Well, played the clip hurricane season.
Yeah, this is a goodie.
We're just 5 days away from the official start of hurricane season, but the good news is it's supposed to be weaker than usual, with government forecasters predicting only 3 to 6 hurricanes in the Atlantic this year, and it's possible that none of them will reach Category 3 or higher.
I like the restatement.
What?
Nothing will reach Category 3 or higher, which is not really devastating. It shouldn't be.
Well, wait a minute. I was under the impression after Katrina that we were going to have nothing but worsening hurricanes year after year after year, to the point where, because of global warming, man-made, and now we've seen nothing, and we're going to have another dud year? This doesn't make any sense at all.
So I have I put it in the show notes, link to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And they have just changed their forecast. And this is also a forecast. Below normal Atlantic hurricane season is likely this year. Look at the weasel words. Likely. But these were the same people who predicted it would be horrible.
I throw a little, same people. I'm going to throw in a little observation here about this. And if I was on the other side of this debate, I think they made a huge mistake. There was, when the debate began, which was during the Katrina period, I believe, or maybe before, when people started getting skeptical because the numbers weren't adding up.
Katrina or Superstorm Sandy?
No, Katrina. We're going way back.
Okay.
Superstorm Sandy was just a weasel word thing for a storm that hit too far north.
Well, they called it a superstorm.
In flood zones.
They called it a superstorm, so the insurance companies didn't have to pay out.
So there's that.
But now, in general, people call it a hurricane. Let me just get back
to my point. The moment that if you remember early on, in fact, it was probably during the first couple of years of our show, where they would constantly say, weather isn't climate.
Yeah.
Weather isn't climate. And then one day, because things were working out for their argument, because it was hot, like it was a hot summer or it was unseasonably hot someplace, they began to accept, this is proof. This weather pattern is proof that it's climate change. It's proof. So now all of a sudden, weather became climate.
Yeah.
They got themselves into nothing but trouble ever since they accepted that idea, that weather was somehow related to climate change. When initially they said, no, just no, don't pay attention to that.
Well, sure, they got themselves in hot water, but with who? The normal citizen on the street. Yeah, like anybody cares. The normal citizen on the street. It's hard to imagine climate, but when you have a storm or a drought or a heat wave, then you can imagine climate, or you can imagine the effects of man-made climate change or climate change.
I think it was a blunder. I don't care about the man on the street buying into it, because the man on the streets also makes the observation, hey, wait a minute, it's freezing out. We had there's a couple of years with this
that's true.
horrible winters. And they said,
but that's also been rectified by saying, that's the polar vortex, and this is normal to be expected. That's how it works. You can always expect extremes. Yeah, they're right on message. They messed it up, I agree, but that's for people like you and I. Who gives a crap about us? But this is, well, that's true. This is, the president has his Twitter account, POTUS, at POTUS. So, I want to see what he's doing, so I'm following him. I'm one of the millions. And he tweeted something that reminded me, we both kind of had missed, or maybe we didn't highlight it enough. I can't really remember, on 2 shows ago when he was at the Naval Academy. Listen to what he's saying about climate change.
Now, is this the Naval or Coast Guard?
Coast Guard, I'm sorry, thank you. Listen closely to what he says about denying climate change.
As America's maritime guardian, you've pledged to remain always ready. Semper Paratus, ready for all threats. And climate change is one of those most severe threats. So I'm here today to say that climate change constitutes a serious threat to global security.
I do want to mention that I shortened this significantly by cutting out all the dramatic pauses because it's just unlistenable otherwise.
An immediate risk to our national security. And make no mistake, it will impact how our military defends our country. And so we need to act, and we need to act now. After all, isn't that the true hallmark of leadership? Yeah. When you're on deck, standing your watch, you stay vigilant.
Hold on.
You plan for every contingency.
Listen.
And if you see storm clouds gathering or dangerous shoals ahead, you don't sit back and do nothing. You take action to protect your ship, to keep your crew safe. Anything less is negligence. It is a dereliction of duty. And so, too, with climate change. Denying it or refusing to deal with it endangers our national security.
And that is the line that the president tweeted on May 20th. That I only just recently came into. So when you say denying climate change endangers our national security, that would make you and I, although we don't deny climate change, we deny man-made climate change, makes us enemies of the state.
By that stupid definition, yes.
Yeah.
And it would also make that anybody who's in the Coast Guard who doesn't, kowtow to whatever the climate change people promote, they're committing dereliction of duty, which we did discuss.
We talked about the dereliction of duty
to the extent that you're wanting to do.
Well, yeah, I just want to point it out that's.
What do you think these cadets are? I mean, if you're sitting out there in the audience and you're hearing this nutty stuff, you're going, our president is insane.
No, they're not thinking that. They're thinking,
this is insane.
No, they're thinking
sure they are.
No, they're thinking, I'm going to get laid tonight. That's all they're thinking.
Well, there's that. So, boy, I'm graduating tonight. I wish this guy'd get it over with. Any attention, I'm sure.
Here is, I'll just power through them all, get it out of the way. And by the way, we're waiting for the Pope's interfaith cyclical Cyclamani Mudiba, his memo to Catholics all over the world. This Pope guy, just like
turn off the lights is what it's going to be.
Yeah, don't watch television. True.
So that would be good.
Young Turks. This is, they used to be on television. Now they have, by Chunk's own count, the most popular, most watched YouTube channel show.
Is that still on?
Yes, it is. Now, this does not feature Chunk, but this is 3 guys in the Young Turks. I guess they have a number of shows, and they are talking about how how Republicans deny climate change. Again, I don't deny climate change. I'm happy that they've moved to that, so I can't be thrown in jail for denying it.
So we understand that Republicans and Democrats defer on, climate change and what should be done about it, and whether or not they even trust the science itself. But apparently, if you dig a little bit below the surface, there are much more interesting numbers there. And it's not about the difference between Republicans and Democrats, but between Republicans and insane right-wing Tea Partiers.
Insane.
I mean, these are not 10-year-olds who haven't taken the classes yet. These are 50, 60, 70-year-olds who have grown up and just don't trust what trained professionals are saying.
I just don't understand people that would not.
I know.
We do. We trusted 30,000 scientists, many of which are climate scientists that wrote the letter and that nobody pays any attention to. We pay attention. We listen to all the hearings where the guys come out and say, no, that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. And then the head guy in the committee hearing says, oh, it's all true. We pay more attention than these guys do.
Yeah.
6-year-olds who have grown up and just don't trust what trained professionals are saying.
I just don't understand people that would not trust an expert in a given field. Not everybody's correct, obviously, but as the general theme of experts, if you were to throw out your back, you would go to a chiropractor probably.
No, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't go to a podiatrist.
I love the analogy. Really good, dude.
Who's an expert in a different part of the body.
Well, we live in a country that believes in the literal existence of angels and believes in psychics and believes the black hole might have swallowed the Flight 370. Like, they have a lot of crazy beliefs. And usually those are relatively... That's possible. Those are usually pretty harmless. But here we're talking about something where even if we marshal all of our economic power and influence worldwide to do something about it, as a country, we might not be able to stop it at this point. But we have to at least try. And yokels are stopping us from even doing that.
Yokels. Yokels. I guess a yokel. Yeah.
I want to play a clip. This is good because I got the clips that.
Why don't I finish this and then we'll go.
No, is that one still going?
Yeah.
Oh, you stopped your own clip?
Yeah, to say.
Oh, go on.
They're just so ridiculous. It's funny to
No, kid, I want to hear the rest of
this. This is media deconstruction at its finest. But this was a 6-minute segment, so I only got 30 seconds left.
So that's a big problem, and I think that stems a lot from misinformation. It also stems from, I've said this before, this isn't scientific, this is my guess. They learn bad ways of thinking because they're overly religious. So they've learned how to just push facts out of the way.
Overly religious people can't think straight.
So somebody explained that the difference between a progressive and a conservative's views of solutions to problems is thus. Conservatives think their solution works because it's the right solution. Progressives think their solution is the right solution because it works. So those are two different things, right?
Just listen to the punchline. Just wait for the punchline. Just wait. The punchline is what these guys say to each other.
Those are two different things, right?
It's a bit long to fit on a bumper sticker, but I like it.
Yeah, but you can put it on a T-shirt and then stuff it up your ass, you fuckface. Anyway.
The science is in.
Well, that's logical. So now I have two clips I have to play.
Yeah.
That kind of play right into what these idiots are talking about. And I will call them idiots.
TYT, Young Turks something.
Young Turks Television. Maybe.
Oh, okay. Ooh, makes sense.
Here's Jules Pfeiffer, who was at a presentation. He won some award. He's a very famous left-wing progressive comic strip guy from the 50s and 60s. Very popular during the 60s in particular. And people can look him up. And he made a very interesting comment here, which I think applies to what these guys are talking about.
It had to do with how the use of language, official and unofficial language. It's the distrust for government and the contempt for government and hatred for government that we now find with the Tea Party and on the right really began on the American left. And it was that the belief on the American left that nothing they tell you is the truth, nothing government says is true, was what I believed in part to be so. And there was enough evidence to back it up. I mean, there were, at the time that I was starting, there were nuclear tests, underground nuclear tests, and the government was always bringing out statistics to show that there were no harmful effects of radiation from the leaks that came from these nuclear tests, as sheep and cattle were falling over in out west. And John Wayne eventually got cancer from working out there, So I did a cartoon called Boom, on which the government is announcing, as people fall over, that there are no harmful effects of radiation. And to take the language we use to fool people, to lie to people, to mislead people, and to satirize way out of hand, to make it funny, what was really going on in a way that would make people, I hoped, think about it and consider it.
Mm-hmm. Now, that reminds me of a very famous bumper sticker that used to be passed around the progressive left environment in the Berkeley area, which was question authority. And so it's just a simple bumper sticker you used to see.
Oh, yeah, back in the day, sure.
Question authority. But these guys are all in. And I think Pfeiffer makes a point, is that they flip-flopped here. And the people that used to, the opinions of the Tea Party are pretty much the way that the opinions were of the far left back in the day. And And as these two guys or three guys at the Young Turk show go on and on about the crazy religious people, if you haven't noticed, there's a bunch of shows, especially on PBS, about ancient peoples and ancient wisdom and all these things, which is kind of a new form of religion for these people. They abnegate Christianity, but they promote the idea that people living in a mud hut in Guinea have ancient wisdom that we should pay attention
but by
to.
the same token, if I say, hey, these hieroglyphics and these wall drawings show that there were visitors from outer space, then you're a crackpot.
Well, there's all these elements, but the one that got to me, there's a new show on PBS called Standing on Sacred Ground.
Ooh.
And it goes on with these people and how they do have those myths that you're talking about, and they express them, but they don't push that part of it. They don't push that part of it. They come up with new ways to reinterpret all this, and this is the outro to the show. They're playing the rolling credits, and they're going to promote the next show coming up. And what little element do you think they just throw in? Because apparently ancient peoples were thinking about this.
Oh, about the big climate change.
Well, let's see.
Next time on Standing on Sacred Ground, Highland cultures in Ethiopia and Peru reveal ancient wisdom and show modern courage fighting intolerance and climate change. For more information, log on to standingonsacredground.org.
Okay, because
Are you kidding me?
Because of all of that CO2 emissions from the factories in the sacred ground. Dumb. Well, I think we've seen this go in waves, John, and I'm sure it goes along with money being released. Now we have this big push. We've got that Columbia outfit chiming in, the president with his, denying it affects our national security. And so, as well, a brand new show, I believe it's on Discovery, Neil deGrasse Tyson. And this, of course, is the tech hornies real doll, if you will. The tech horny just love this guy. And he's the director of what is the planetarium in New York?
Yeah, Hayden.
Right.
One of them.
And he is an astrophysicist.
He's the guy who runs a planetarium. Let's put it down.
Yeah, he shines the light on the ceiling. Is it...
I mean, not to demean the guy.
No, but he's an astrophysicist.
And he's also a showboater.
Well, this is the problem. And he was on Charlie Rose. So I watched this. And most of it is just him laughing nervously. And I think Rose was even a little bit annoyed because deGrasse Tyson comes up with these funny comebacks on, Charlie Rose will say, just as an example, so we're all going to die from climate change. And he'll come back and say, well, we're dead already. And just bad jokes goes nowhere. But he is loved by the established. I'll just call them the tech horny because I think they also fall into a lot of this all in on man-made climate change. First, the question from Rose, which I found to be fascinating, taking it from global warming, man-made global warming, man-made climate change deniers to science deniers. So now we're there. Charlie Rose, no less.
I mean, do we have too many scientific deniers in our country, or do we give too much prominence to...
Do we give too much prominence to the scientific deniers in our country? Let me just the science is in. All right. Now listen to this.
I mean, do we have too many scientific deniers in our country, or do we give too much prominence to those who want to look the other way at science?
There's some of those, and dare I implicate some elements of journalism in this, because there's your journalistic ethos, not to tell you what your ethos is.
Oh, please, I'm not going to tell you what your ethos is. So now he's arrogant as well.
But as I understand it, and it's been told to me, the journalist obligation when writing a story is to give equal column space to all sides.
Let me ask somebody who might actually be a professional in writing as a journalist. John C. Dvorak, is this correct?
Not completely. You're supposed to do a balanced report is what he's talking about, but you don't necessarily write an equal. You have a point of view.
You have a point of view, and
you have a point of view. You're just always going to have one, and some people have slanted point of views, and some people don't. Some people write objectively, but typically there's a story to be told, and there will be somebody that will say, "No, it's not that way," and you put them into the story, but you don't give them equal.
Okay, hold that thought, and I will come back to you with more questions in a moment.
Or half to one of each side. And if someone says the earth is round and someone says the earth is flat, at some point you're going to make a judgment. The earth is flat, people, is just flat out wrong. Right. I will not be giving them the attention. We're wasting time, and I'm not doing a service in my role of informing the public. And so I think journalists are really smart people, and they're highly educated, and they're curious. They have the curiosity that kids have that they still have as adults. That's the other kind of branch of curiosity manifested in society, scientists and journalists. And that's a great thing to have. But at some point, invest your brain energy to recognize when something is fringe and report it that way. And so when you do that, people then are properly informed about what is and is not true, what is an emergent truth, what is a truth that's in doubt, what is a truth, what is something that...
What is an emergent truth, a truth that is in doubt?
Is been refuted. Be responsible on that frontier, and I think that'll help. That'll help my job, certainly.
So is that how you do it then?
I don't know what he's talking about.
I think what he is saying he's calling on his fellow questioners.
He wants the journalists is just
yes,
party line.
Yes. Now,
but he's actually asking for people to just ignore anything.
Yeah,
and they'll go back and they'll use this. I've heard this before. They go back and use the argument. If you're talking about World War II, you don't give equal time to Hitler's perspective on the genocide.
Who said that?
Oh, yeah, I've heard it.
Oh, isn't that kind of exactly what you need to figure out what that guy was thinking or how he made?
No, this is climate change guy. They mock everybody. You've heard it before on I can't remember which. We had a clip where somebody said the problem with the journalism is they should be all in. They shouldn't even be addressing any of these doubters. They shouldn't even be writing about them. They shouldn't even give them any attention. I mean, we should take the 30,000 real scientists as opposed to the people who are all in on this, because very few of them have any science in their background. Very few.
I'm sorry.
And they just say, let's just go for just push because we're all going to die.
Which is what that Columbia.
Get on board. We don't have much time left.
Yeah, we need insurance.
Every year it was past the midpoint. Oh, if we don't do something by the end of this year, 1999, we're all going to die. 2000 comes along, we're all going to die. This is.
I need to hold it because you got a good roll there, but there's a few more things we need to listen to.
Play the clip. We're all going to die.
Do I have this clip?
Yes.
All going to die? I don't remember. Was this one of your clips? Oh, yes. Oh boy. I'm sorry. I should have that handy.
We're all going to die.
I'm going to put that into my special bin right now. I'd forgotten about this gem. Very good, John. Very good. Okay. So Neil deGrasse Tyson talks about his hero, Carl Sagan, and how Carl Sagan was fantastic.
Carl Sagan, the guy who during the first Kuwait Iraq War, came out and openly predicted that we're going to have it's called a black something or other, because the plumes from the oil wells were going to go into the upper atmosphere, cover the entire planet, and kill us all. That Carl Sagan? We're all going to die!
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is, and so Charlie Rose rolled out a piece of him, of course, with his white Apple Watch band. Ugh, what is wrong with you, Charlie Rose? Interviewed him the last year, the year that he died. Sagan was sick, and I believe that was a pretty famous bit because he talked about dying, etc. But Sagan gives a warning, a real warning about science and interpretation. And I'll stop it after the Sagan bit, and then we need to listen to deGrasse Tyson's interpretation of Sagan's words.
The little thing was big.
Roll tape. Here it is.
There's two kinds of dangers. One is what I just talked about, that we've arranged a society based on science and technology in which nobody understands anything about science and technology. And this combustible mixture of ignorance and power, sooner or later, is going to blow up in our faces. I mean, who is running the science and technology in a democracy if the people don't know anything about it? And the second reason that I'm worried about this is that science is more than a body of knowledge. It's a way of thinking. a way of skeptically interrogating the universe with a fine understanding of human fallibility. If we are not able to ask skeptical questions, to interrogate those who tell us that something is true, to be skeptical of those in authority, then we're up for grabs for the next charlatan, political or religious, who comes ambling along. It's a thing that Jefferson lay great stress on. It wasn't enough, he said, to enshrine some rights in a constitution or a Bill of Rights. The people had to be educated, and they had to practice their skepticism and their education. Otherwise, we don't run the government. The government runs us.
Okay. Your interpretation.
That seems pretty clear.
Yeah.
You should be skeptical. You should question authority. And in this case, the authority is people like that say 90, even though they lie about it.
Well, here I have a philosophical question for you. So he said, question authority on a topic. Is authority always determined by majority?
Not necessarily. Not in a dictatorship.
Okay, well, we don't live in a dictatorship, but why is the authority, so is the president the authority? Is he a higher authority than some...
on some matters, I would think so.
Who is the highest authority on climate change then? That would be the IPCC. Okay. So questioning them would be the correct thing to do, being skeptical, always asking questions. Okay.
Of course, and that's what people do, and then they get demeaned for saying anything. Right. If you say anything bad about the IPCC, you don't like science. You're science denier.
Let us listen to the interpretation from Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Charlie, was that the same table?
See, he doesn't like that. He doesn't like these jokes, Charlie.
Same glasses?
Yeah. Same me.
That's kind of spooky seeing him. I mean, he's as alive now as he was back then.
But that was feeling sick.
Yeah.
That was a famous interview I did.
Yeah.
You're great, Charlie. Dying. Move on.
Yeah, that would have been 96. Yeah. He didn't live much longer than that.
That was 1996.
1996. He died that year.
Yeah. He died.
So, he said it better than any of us, connecting science literacy with what it is to have an informed democracy. If you want to take control of your fate, you can't do it if you are misinformed or underinformed about what actually matters. And in the 21st century, it's going to matter.
I think what he's saying is people who are against it or are skeptical are just misinformed.
Yeah, it's kind of what he's saying.
He doesn't come. Yeah, you're right. He doesn't come out and say, but he's not saying, "Hey, wow, gee, I should have listened to him." No, none of that. So just to carry on with the crazy,
come out and say, "Holy crap, I didn't think about it in those terms. I'm such an idiot."
Yeah, I think we should keep that Sagan clip because that's.
Yes, you should.
He's an authority on black holes in the Middle East.
He was one of the most popular pop scientists.
Yeah.
You've ever seen. I mean, there's different ones that come and go, but deGrasse Tyson wishes that was him.
Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. And worse.
He's his hero.
Worse. He thinks he has taken his spot. I believe that deGrasse Tyson feels there's a vacuum to fill and he's the guy.
Yeah.
And he is what we call over het paard getild.
Which means?
Which is Dutch for they boosted him up on the horse and he fell off on the other side. Or he's about to fall. Now, Bill Nye, the climate guy or science guy.
Another guy who wishes he was a higher
But he's making mistakes now. So he thinks that because, he's hanging out with the president and he's seen as the climate guy, he's getting $35,000 for commencement speech at Rutgers. Amy Schumer, which she's funny.
Rutgers paid him?
$35,000, I hear. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Holy crap.
Yeah. He wouldn't go otherwise. This guy... He's all.
Well, I don't have a problem with not going if you're not paid, but generally for commencement speeches, you do them for gratis or for a phony baloney honorary degree.
Yeah. And boy, I would do it for a phony baloney honorary degree in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I do have the Connecticut School of Broadcasting diploma on my wall, which was kind of a deal like that.
I can print one out.
There's Amy Schumer show, and she's pretty funny as a comedian. I don't like the show very much. It was on, I think, Comedy Central. And she did a whole bit with Bill Nye, and it was about the universe and how women keep saying, that's the universe telling me to buy avocados or something. But I'm just going to play the end of it, where I think Bill Nye he's jumped the shark on his own, thinking that he can do anything. Because he gets they keep cutting back to him saying, "Oh no, this is not what the universe is. The universe is, just whatever an electrical engineer would say, or whatever the hell he is." So here's the end.
Episode of New Girl, but it was preempted by this news coverage of this terrible cyclone where everybody died. It was so annoying. Then I just thought, this is the universe's way of telling me, you watch New Girl on Hulu anyway. Don't pay for cable. Save your money for in-app purchases.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit. Fuck. Oh, my.
So that's how the bit ends.
What?
Yeah, that's how the bit ends. And of course, he's setting himself up for montages such as...
Climate change is real. That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what he did.
Yeah, he set himself up, douche.
Yeah, send me those. I can use them.
Moron.
The hell is wrong with you? Wake up, get up off your asses, get out of the damn coma.
Okay, I'm good. Although National Geographic magazine is definitely one you want to pick up. Big article, why do many reasonable people doubt science? So this is more of this, we've gone from climate, and when you think about it, it's really good to shift this into science denial, because you can use that for anything. And no one questions this. They just say, and they just keep saying climate change. Maybe I'm harping too much on it, but
well, we got started on it. Now we had a coincident number of clips, so I think it worked out.
Okay, good. Maybe FIFA.
We got nowhere. We didn't really accomplish anything except ridicule these people once again, and we look like douchebags for doing it. I think to some people.
I do have 2 more Tyson clips that are not.
But I think my Pfeiffer thing was important for the left that listens to our show to pay attention.
Your Pfeiffer thing was very good. I do have 2 more DeGrasse Tyson clips. I will play them later. They're not.
No, come on, play them now. Let's get them out of the way.
Okay. The first one is about, we could solve everything. We could make everything happen. We could have colonies on Mars. All we need is money. And this is his plea for cash.
Yeah, it's only ever money. Yeah. Only ever money at all times.
Supremely disappointed that we don't do more in space?
The curiosity part of me is disappointed, but the politically astute side of me fully understands why that's the case. We went to the moon because we
have other priorities.
No. We always had
it was a PR move.
We've always had other priorities. So that's a false excuse. When we went to the moon, we had plenty of other priorities. There was the civil rights movement. There was the hot war in Southeast Asia, the Cold War with Soviet Union, right. Campus unrest.
So we did it for PR.
We did it because we were at war with that was an act of war, essentially, without the weapons. And if we were not at war, the motivation to go to the moon, we tell ourselves, oh, we went to the moon because we're Americans and we're explorers and it's in our DNA. Okay, that might all be true, but the people who write the checks don't give a rat's about any of this, the lofty speak. Is your security at risk? We will spend any amount of money to protect that. And that's when money flows like rivers, and we went to the moon.
President Kennedy made the commitment.
In that climate.
But should we create that kind of urgency again for something?
That's interesting. That's interesting how Rose is saying, should we create that kind of urgency again?
Like going to the moon?
You know what they've done with this terrorism crap.
Mm-hmm.
No. I joke. I say, let me go visit China and whisper to the head of China. I go, psst, can you leak a memo that says you want to put military bases on Mars? Just go ahead. Shh, don't tell anybody. Then that memo shows up in the Pentagon. We will be on Mars in 10 months, I'm sure. 1 month to design, build, and fund a spacecraft, and 9 months to get there. We'll have astronauts. That's how motivated I think we would be, because that's how motivated we were back in the 1960s.
Okay. There you go. Just 9 months, we could be living on Mars with bases. Final, I know.
Tell me about the sexuality. It's in your DNA.
That's the question you should have answered. Here is the final clip. This is disturbing. It turns out that Neil deGrasse Tyson is a kind of a science fiction writing hack, although he claims he can't write, he doesn't know how to build characters, but he's got a whole story. And it sounds like he was almost there to pitch this.
Oh, probably was.
Yeah. And it's so reminiscent of what was the? Now, of course, it slipped my mind. The book about the from the dead author from Crichton. State of Fear.
The State of Fear.
Reminds me a lot about this. And here is
with a different twist, I'm sure.
It's not necessarily about climate change, but another one of his favorite topics, which pops up from time to time. But I think his story someone might nibble on this because it's the kind of thing that Hollywood loves.
I've got a story. It's ready to go.
It's ready to go. Buy my story
right here.
Buy my story.
It just needs a good writer.
I've got a good story, and I could advise on such a story. But in terms of character development and emotions, and I don't have the experience writing. Certainly not writing it, and probably also.
But you
not
would know a story that would be compelling.
I have one in mind right now. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to tell it. I mean, it's
okay. Tell me.
Okay, so the world is at war. Okay.
You mean the world that we know is at war?
The world that we know is at war, and in some very disruptive way, not with large weapons, but regional battles everywhere, and people are choosing sides, and then an asteroid is discovered.
Tell us what an asteroid is.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us what an asteroid is. It's in your DNA. It's part of your sexuality.
An asteroid.
Yeah, tell us what an asteroid is. Yeah. Rose needs to know.
Is discovered.
Tell us what an asteroid is.
Oh, yeah. Well, an asteroid, craggy chunk of rock of variant sizes. There's countless tens of thousands of them, probably hundreds of thousands of them. And the orbit
millions.
Between Mars and Jupiter, most of them. Some of them have wayward orbits. They cross the orbit of the Earth. Some, like in thousands of them. You do the math, you learn that Earth and these asteroids will collide with one another, guaranteed, eventually. Ideally, you want to, put LoJack on them or something. Yeah. Where are you?
Hello, 1980 calling. We want our LoJack reference back.
Now, at this time, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your killer asteroid is? And so once you do that, we learn that there's an asteroid that could render us all extinct. And so at that moment...
And what do you think happens in the script?
Wow, gee, that story's never been told yet.
What do you think happens next? What happens with all the...
Throw a bomb on it, or climate change is fixed now the asteroid goes and misses.
No.
Oh, no, you tell me.
No.
There's an asteroid that could render us all extinct. And so at that moment, everyone who sees other humans as their enemy then come together and see the asteroid.
Oh, my God.
And the technology bits that have been developed all around these countries of the world, there's a bit in the future, so that formerly developing countries are now technologically able, and they've been developing their technology to fight wars. We find that we have to assemble pieces of all these technologies.
So we develop a common front against the asteroid.
Not only a common front, but we need different pieces of technology for the deflection device that we put together. And the heads of state come into play, the conflicts, not only within countries, but between countries. It's run with that. So it can be quite dramatic. And maybe we can have a little piece of the asteroid still hit Earth, just because you got to flood a city or something. Otherwise, Hollywood doesn't buy the story. Got to destroy some city.
So this guy's delusional.
He's nuts.
He's delusional.
That clip right there.
Yeah.
It's just, I think if you would have started with that, I would have probably rejected you listening to any more.
Well, it's an
crazy.
Art. Yeah. On the Charlie Rose Show.
Well, the guy has like you said, you mentioned it, the tech, what are they, you had in...
Tech horny.
Tech hornies, the tech hornies. I like that, by the way.
Tech hornies. You can also just call them tech hornies.
Tecornies. Sounds like a family. It sounds like a reality TV. And here we are with another day in the life of the Tecornies.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to rejoin the Tecornies.
All right.
Yeah, the guy's insane. With that, maybe I should thank you for your courage and say...
Well, I think it's probably a good thing to do.
In the morning to you, John C., where the C stands for climate denial, Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Adam Curry. In the morning to all the ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to everybody in the chat room, noagendastream.com. You are loved here. And in the morning to our artists, Sarcasquatch brought us the artwork for episode 724. Now you recall episode 724, the title of that was Nice Fabric. And we used an older piece which was, I think, initially used for the pollen tsunami, but it looked so great as kind of Austin's buildings and the big tidal
and all the
wave.
flooding. And
it was nice. It was nice. Good work.
It worked.
Yeah, completely original artwork. Very nice. Like that a lot.
Yes.
And this program, well, I was just going to say, this program is completely created and produced by its listeners, who we rightfully call producers. And we always, just like Hollywood, like to thank the executive producers and associate executive producers who do the most to help us financially. And we thank them up front in the kind of the opening credits, first hour credits.
Yes, and we want to thank a number of people for the contributing to show producership status, starting with Mr. T.
You fool! I pity the fool!
He writes in a handwritten letter.
Pennsylvania,
I see. It's typed. It's printed on a computer.
Was this sent through the bank?
Yeah, there's a check.
Nice.
Even though I'm a long-time listener, this is my first time donating. This is the way to go.
Okay,
by the way,
nice.
I recommend anyone who first time donates $1,010.10.
Holy mackerel.
That's not bad.
Well, let me give him a de-douching right off the bat without doing anything.
You've been de-douched.
My goodness. Nice.
This is every time I would tell myself that I'd finally send in a check or set up a recurring payment, something always got in the way. Fast forward to 2014, which was the shittiest year I've ever had. Instead of boring you with the details, let's just say I realized early on that No Agenda would be my company during the 2014 shitstorm. A lot of typos here. I made a promise to myself that after everything was done and settled, I would donate what I could, and that day has finally arrived. With that said, I'd like to make an odd karma request.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure some time-traveling karma helped me out last year. Could you please fire up the No Agenda time machine and send some karma back in time to the beginning of 2014? You have the sound effects to make that work.
I do.
I consider the donation payment for the services already rendered. Thanks again for helping keep me sane. And then he's got some bookkeeping and some other things on his furtherance of the list, which he doesn't think needs.
Okay, and he wants some karma for that. Huh?
He wants some karma for. Let's put the karma back in January 2014.
Okay, hold on. We need to go back to January 2014, and we do that like this. January 2014. Time for some karma. We're now back in January. Yeah, baby.
You've got karma.
On the fly.
There you go.
On the fly. All right, good. Thank you very much, Mr. T. We'll be knighting you later. Does he have any special knight name, or is it just Mr. T?
No, he doesn't. Eric had lived one there. Sir Pity the Fool, but we're going to just call him Sir Mr. T until he wants us to change.
Or maybe it's just Sir T.
Sir T.
I think
right,
Sir T.
Yeah, obviously not Sir Mr. T. Sir T.
Yes,
Sir T.
Yes, Sir T.
Onward with Alex Button, who is in San Francisco, 33333. Thanks for the show, guys. I was wondering if I could get some jobs karma, me and some extra karma for my future human resource who is running late, not wanting to come out to meet the world.
Ooh.
Right. I'm a longtime boner who started listening because of John on Twit.
Hey.
I now do not know what I would listen to without you two.
Aw. And that's it?
Yeah, he's just a
Jobs and jobs. Let's
and
vote for jobs. You've got karma.
What'd you say? And babies? What?
And babies.
Oh, yeah, pop-out karma.
Pop-out karma.
Pop-out karma. Yeah.
John Cox in Adkins, Texas, $250 to be associate executive producer for show 2, whatever it is. What is the number? 220.
725. 725.
I've got two. I'm still stuck in the past with you.
Oh, I didn't bring us back. I'm sorry. Hold on. Hold on, John. We need to
back.
Yeah. Do you got your seatbelt on? You'll need it. There we go. Back to 2015. Yes.
Makes sense.
Well, much better. Sorry about that. I'm sorry.
Pushes Alex. He's been a donor for a year now. John Cox in Adkins, Texas, $250. Thanks, guys, for all your hard work. I do not think I've ever asked for anything, so send me some karma.
Okay, karma it is. On its way.
You've got karma.
Ask Cox if he's done accounting. He might be a knight. Sir Edward Sheets, who is a knight in Brewerton, New York, 23456. Lads, you rock. Sorry I have been out of the loop a bit. Pretty sure this makes my second knighthood. I'll lay out math below. So, if so, please designate me as Sir Sheets of the Cuban Leaf. Cigar connoisseur.
Wait a minute. So he's not, is he on the list?
Well, this is a second knighthood.
I got it.
He's already Sir Sheets, but he wants to add as a little.
Let me just make sure I'm just doing the administration.
He wants to do a little embellishment to adding Cuban Leaf.
Okay, so it's Sir Sheets
of the Cuban Leaf. Okay. He's still a knight.
I got it.
Okay. Anyway, your analysis of global warming is spot on. Well, that's what we talked about today, coincidentally, as much as most of your work, or all of it. He doesn't say anything like that. Thank you for what you do. May I please have a refreshing relationship karma? Please remember Cuban cigars and single malt scotch. Cuban cigars, single malt scotch. You have that on there, I think.
I do.
For all the tables. Sir Sheets. Then he's got his accounting, and so we'll give him his karma.
I wish I had a sound effect. People ask for this all the time. I don't think we have a sound effect for relationship karma. Someone will have to make that because we desperately need it. But here it is. The karma's valid.
You've got karma.
You could have a kissing sound of some sort. Or that pop kiss, where they kiss and pop, you get a loud pop sound. Yeah, that.
Okay, all right.
That's it.
We don't need anything. I'll do that from now on.
You can do that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yes.
Wow. You do this on the fly, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Theater of the mind.
Tony Nist in Granite Bay, California, 23456, 2 in a row. Hi, TM, John and Adam. First-time donor here. Been listening to your show for over a year now, and I just couldn't ignore my guilty conscience any longer. I'm currently an undergrad at the University of Nevada, Reno, and couldn't possibly be more frustrated with the amount of douchebaggery I hear and witness on a daily basis on a college campus. My professors are, for the most part, all in and consistently bring up some of your favorite memes. It astounds me that these are the people that I'm supposed to be learning from when they bring up such crisis as Ebola and the ISIS on the regular. Where
did Ebola go?
I don't know. It's funny because you mentioned that, because I'm digging through my desk stuff here on the little podcasting desk, and somebody, I guess, sent me this little Ebola pin. It's a hashtag tackle Ebola, and it's one of those little ribbons, little ribbon thing.
Yeah,
that you put on your whatever you put it.
Yeah.
And it's got it's got the African flags or something on there. Stop you. When you wear that, Ebola ends.
Well, it worked.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
Anyway, he goes on. I'm not scared about either, only the future of humanity if these memes continue to be propagated. That's because they're old and they don't question authority. Here's to the first of hopefully many more donations. And by the way, this is a student, people.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for your courage. I like an L Sharpton boom shakalaka. L Sharpton.
No, it's Manning.
Shakalaka.
It's Manning, but that's okay. I know what he means.
But maybe he wants a Sharpton too. If possible, can I also get a douchebag call out for my good buddy Jarrett Sawchuck? Jarrett Sawchuck's a douchebag who hit me in the mouth over a year ago. Keep up the amazing work, gents. Sincerely, Tony Nist, Reno, Nevada.
All right. Well, we'll do a big combo deal for him here.
But resist, we must, and we will much about that be committed.
Boom shakalaka, boom shakalaka, boom shakalaka, and boom shakalaka. Dingo, boom, boom shakalaka, boom, 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 boom shakalaka, boom, boom.
Boom shakalaka, boom shakalaka. You've got karma.
I love that kid.
I forgot about the first one. The long one.
The Resist We Much? Oh.
No, the Boom Shakalaka.
I don't think we've played that very often.
No, well, that's probably why I don't remember it. Anyway, that's our contributors, associate executive producers for a show. We're back in the present,
725.
which makes it 725.
Yeah.
And I want to remind people that we do have a show coming up pretty soon.
Sunday. I'll come Sunday.
Sunday, we're coming back.
Quick PR mention. from Scott McKenzie. Now, Scott McKenzie has written several No Agenda theme-based giblets. Giblets are purchasable on Amazon for your Kindle. That's what we call it. And you can also find all of his work at noagendanovels.com. He says, Adam and John, in the morning, just letting you know I'm still doing my bit to propagate the formula with a new No Agenda short story called Conscience for Sale, now in the Kindle store. And he has a blurb, and we love the word blurb. It's only Polly Benton's second day working for a multinational outsourcing corporation when she gets the call to attend a meeting at the White House. The president can't decide whether the United States should go to war in the Middle East or not, so the vice president is looking for ways to speed things up, and cost is not an option. But is it really possible to outsource the decision to go to war? And what price is Polly willing to pay to further her career? Nice, huh?
That's funny.
And he also says, so his links in the show notes for the U.S. store and the UK store. He says, I've also just finished the first draft of the next No Agenda novel, which will be called The Boy with Involuntary Social Network Disorder. I love that. I'll be reading that this weekend. Scott's giblets are always fantastic. Really love them. Hey, this is a new sound. What is that? A crowbar?
This?
Yeah. No, it's too high for a crowbar.
It's a crystal wine glass.
Oh.
That I happen to have up here.
You mean you didn't take it down to put it to wash it?
I never took it down to wash it. And then I looked at it and I said, wait a minute, this may sound terrific.
Yeah, there you go.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Thank you very much to our associates and associate execs. Please continue to propagate the formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Amen. Fist bump.
Shut up, Slade.
Shut up, Slade.
Just a little entremont, little story, something funny, which also contains an admission. Well, get ready for the admission. So I like having now that I'm living on my own. I'm learning to have things not run out of things. I'm sure you have learned how to do this.
Oh, years ago.
Yeah. I'm a late comer, late bloomer.
I was a kid.
Yeah, a late bloomer. So from time to time, and this is the admission, I like to smoke a little bit of weed. It's
what?
Yeah. Not like I used to. But that's the admission there. Yeah, but it's like, actually I find it very handy if you have friends over. The best way to get rid of them is, hey, let's smoke a joint. And then they're like, okay, time to go home. And they go, okay.
It's kind of interesting.
It works.
Yeah.
It works very well. So I have to, I don't know drug dealers or anything, but there's this guy, we'll call him Danny for all intents and purposes. And Danny is, he's a weed dealer, but he's more like a hippie guy, kind of. He's always talking about one day he's going to, build this sustainable community and we'll live off wind power. I'm like, all right, Danny, fine. It's all good. It's great. But he also has all kinds of issues like child support payments, and the guy's messed up. So he says, I've been trying to get a bag from him for days. I don't want to run out. I just want to I want to have some in case I need it.
So you began this thesis here on this little chit chat you're giving us with the idea that you don't want to run out, and I'm thinking, well, he looks in the refrigerator, there's no milk. There's no butter when he first toast, that kind of thing. And then you take this to some level that is really has nothing to do with any of this.
No, it's just a fun story.
Yeah, okay. Well, continue. Sorry.
You probably,
I just thought I was being misled. That's the only thing I'm complaining about.
I'm just giving you some background.
Okay.
Just giving you a little bit of background. And so finally, he said, okay, I'm showing up. And this was, Tuesday or whatever. And so I go down and I meet him in the garage, of course. And he hands me, an envelope, and I said, "What is this, man? It's a little wet on the corner." "Oh no, don't worry about it. It was just some watermelon juice." So already I'm like, well, watermelon juice, and I thought it was a little light, but I just put it in my back pocket. We're chatting away, and you have to know his phone was broken, so he could only reach me on Facebook Messenger next to the federal building on Wi-Fi, and the guy's a mess. And so we're talking and having 15 minutes. Yeah, he's a nice guy, and so I go upstairs and I open it up. I said, "Wait a minute." Before I open it, on the envelope, it's addressed to the Attorney General of the United States. I think, wow, that's a good idea. If you're driving around with some weed and you get pulled over, the cop may not say, oh, let me open up this letter to the Attorney General. So I think, wow, Danny's really smart. I open it up, and in it are 2 bank checks to the Attorney General. I guess the child support payments or something. So I'm trying to reach the guy, and I can't get a hold of him because he's driving back for 45 minutes. And then it hits me. He's probably put my weed into the mailbox. I haven't heard back from him.
Oh, brother. Borderline Shaggy Dog story. But it definitely had a good punchline.
I can just imagine. The Attorney General, hey, what's this?
Bud.
Yeah. Shifting gears, the Queen's speech. This is...
yes, yes. I was supposed to clip this. I didn't clip it. I'm glad you did.
Well, I did something maybe
it's crazy what is going on over there.
Maybe this is a little irregular.
But why don't you explain, but give us some background.
The Queen's speech has already been kind of pre-telegraphed. David Cameron and Jackie, whatever her name is, Jackie Holmes, I forget her name, of the Interior. She's kind of like the Secretary of the DHS, and they're all evil. And the Queen's speech leads into new rules, which will, you won't be able to say things that are against British values. And of course, we played a very long clip of this Jackie woman on Radio 4 trying to explain, I know what extremism is when I see it, or, things that everyone agrees with. If you disagree with, that's against British values. Now, we have not seen the legislation yet, and I didn't expect it, but the way this works in the UK is the Queen does her Queen's speech, and in it she pretty much states all these things that are going to happen, and we have to be resilient against cyber attacks and just all kinds of stuff. But I love this theater, and even Brits who I know who would call themselves Republicans, meaning they are not, they're not all in on the monarchy. They all love what they call it's tradition, and it's the big show, and it's the Queen isn't really in charge of anything. And I wonder, do people really have some kind of mask in front of their faces where, here's how it happens. The sergeant at arms, or whoever the British equivalent is, walks into Parliament. He says, "Attention, the Queen wants you to all join her in the room, the Royal Hall, boom, boom." And then they all walk out behind the guy with the golden stick. Okay, this is, it's still all just tradition. Not that you're just being obedient slaves. And then the Queen does about 10 minutes of talking. Now, I cut this down to make a point. And just listen to the words. You can stop me whenever you want to, John. It's about a minute and a half. And I've cut it up this way.
My Lords and members of the House of Commons, my government will legislate in the interests of everyone in our country. My government will continue with its long-term plan to provide economic stability and security at every stage of life. My government will bring forward legislation to reform trade unions. My government will expand the Troubled Families Programme. My government will secure the future of the National Health Service. My government will work to bring about a balanced economic recovery. My government will continue to legislate for high-speed rail links between the different parts of the country. My government will also bring forward legislation to secure a strong and lasting constitutional settlement. My government will continue to work in cooperation with the devolved administrations. My government will bring forward changes to the standing orders of the House of Commons. My government will renegotiate the United Kingdom's relationship with the European Union. My government will bring forward proposals for a British Bill of Rights. My Lords and members of the House of Commons, my government will continue to play a leading role in global affairs. My ministers will remain at the forefront of the NATO.
You get it, right?
Oh, yeah, no,
my government.
Whose government this is.
And do people not hear this?
No.
My lords, my government, mine.
I don't understand this either. And the people who are the anti-monarchists, and there's plenty of them in England, lots of them. And they have
Republicans. They call them Republicans.
They are very aware of this, and that's what they're always bitching. I mean, why if it's just a symbolic bull crap? worth, billions and billions of dollars for nice symbolism. If it's just symbolic, completely symbolic.
Why all this my?
Well, not only that, but why would you have these anti-monarchists being so serious about getting rid of the monarchy? It's ludicrous.
And it's the same in other.
She did say in there, and I thought you were going to give this speech where she apparently decides that they're going to renegotiate with the EU. She mentioned
it was in there. Yeah, it was in there.
And she, I guess, is giving them the go-ahead because Cameron ran it as a campaign promise that they're going to have an in-out vote.
And now he has backup.
And yeah, he's got backup. She's all in.
But it is different. Renegotiate means you want to stay in, but you just want to have a better deal.
Well, that's what Cameron said. Cameron said they're going to. Cameron pretty much weaseled his way into this in-out thing, saying first they're going to try to change the terms of the agreement.
Right.
And I think he wants to do that because if he can change it radically enough, they'll still have the in-out vote, but now it'll be easier not to vote to leave.
Right.
And they're also switching. They got some deal where they're switching. So yes, I think yes doesn't mean leave. Yes means stay in. No means
I love that one. That's like the California. What was it? The gay marriage? No. Was it gay
I
marriage?
forgot what we did that. We do that all the time.
It was like Proposition 8, and you voted for it. You were actually against it. It's very confusing.
That's what the Brits are trying to pull.
Very good. Very, very good. Staying in the EU or Euroland for a moment, the EU leaders have okayed military missions to halt Mediterranean migration. First of all, military missions. So this seems more and more like there will be a European army, an EU army, and there's two documents. I won't go through them, but I marked them up and put them in the show notes. The idea is that the military is going to, and again, you see Mediterranean migration, not refugees from Libya, people who whose country has been destroyed and rubbleized. No,
yeah, they're refugees.
Yeah, no, they are migrants, not refugees.
Heaven forbid we call them refugees because they're refugees.
Representatives from the EU's 28 countries agreed on a joint initiative against boat smuggling migrants, which carry tens of thousands of people attempting the perilous journey from North Africa to Europe every single week. The idea is to destroy the boats. Hopefully not if there's people on it. Yeah.
They're going to blow them up at the docks.
In the document published last week, the European Commission announced a quota system to evenly distribute migrants. Who's trafficking? The EU is trafficking. Let's distribute our migrants. Whoa. That's like Bitcoin.
Oh, I never thought of it that way. That's very funny.
That's trafficking of human beings.
Yeah. Okay, you guys over here, you get 10 of these guys. Bring the 10 over.
Hey, hold on a second.
Yeah,
let me see. Let me see his teeth and his hooves. Let me see if he's any good. It's reminiscent of times from past. So the system will evenly distribute migrants who arrive in Europe to relieve pressure off Italy and Greece.
That's fantastic. This is human trafficking. You nailed it.
The actual definition.
Yeah.
There you go. So human trafficking under military rule with guns. That's perfect.
Well, because they're migrants. That's funny.
So sad. So sad. No one else will really care.
No one else. No, this is no agenda stuff.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm watching, talking about this sort of thing, international affairs.
Mm-hmm.
Thom Hartmann.
Oh, Thom.
Yeah, Thom. Thom is on the rampage.
Let me guess about the TPP.
Well, a little bit about the TPP, especially the labeling laws. He's come up. I have two clips. I don't want to play the World Trade clip because I didn't do any research on how much horse shit he's delivering here. But I realize that Thom is on the bandwagon because so he shows a picture of himself with his actually a pretty gorgeous looking cat. But this is like a professional studio portrait of Thom with his cat.
Somewhat creepy.
It's very creepy. But apparently this cat's dead, and not in the picture, but But play the Tom Hartman and his dead cat clip, and you'll wonder why he's on the rampage about labeling laws.
It isn't. I mean, yeah, people are looking at how down like a third this year or something like that. It's terrible. But that does not have to do with poisoned food coming into the United States. The World Trade Organization just ruled that you and I, as Americans, no longer have the right to ask our government on our behalf to require labeling of country of origin. So we don't know where stuff is coming from. And there are countries out there that use pesticides, that use hormones, that use herbicides, that use chemicals to promote growth and store foods that are illegal in the United States because they kill people, because they cause cancer. You know, like I said, my cat, you know, we got some of that Chinese cat food, and my cat, you know, there's a picture of him. He's dead. I mean, you know, tell that to my cat, right? That had it been appropriately regulated, Higgins would still be alive. So.
Higgins. Like Higgins from Magnum P.I.? Is that
Higgins, yes.
What a dick. Higgins.
I just got the biggest kick out of that.
So Chinese cat food killed Higgins.
Yeah, so he's out there buying, they're just, you know, is so aware of things. He's buying Chinese cat food.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Hey, memo, dude. Why don't you give your cat the real food that the cat would be interested in and not canned crap?
Well, you know, it brings me to my daughter, and there's a place in Berkeley that makes cat food.
Michael Butler makes great dog food.
He makes dog treats.
Oh, treats. Okay.
By the way, Michael Butler says hi.
Oh, when did you see him?
I just went over to his house the other day to pick him. He is now...
Michael Butler, longtime friend of the show, but also longtime friend, John and I. He's the Rock and Roll Geek show. He's just one of the nicest guys in the world. He's just nice. He's genuinely nice.
But he's a complainer. He's a complainer. But a really nice guy.
That's what he does. Yeah. And so you went over, you saw him.
Yeah, he actually listens to the show.
I know.
He never donates, but he listens. Now he is decided to become an amateur butcher.
It makes total sense. But there's a lot of regulation involved.
To buying meat off the hoof.
Yeah.
And he got into it, and then he read, I guess, Michael Pollan's book and decided he's never going to buy store-bought meat ever again.
Haven't you purchased meat with him jointly in the past? Yeah.
Yeah, so he just butchered a pig up in somewhere in Marin or Sonoma County, and he brought all this, and he needs to get rid of some of it. And so I threw in to get like 50 pounds of pig, and so I went over to his house to grab the meat and bring it back.
That's what she said.
And so he in the process, as I was packing the butchered meat, and he's apologizing for not being a good butcher yet, even though he's taking classes. He said, "Say hi to Adam."
Oh, okay. Oh, say hi back. Now, don't you have to? He wants to do that at home, or he doesn't have the? You have to.
No, he hasn't got the facilities. But I'll bet you he can put the facilities up. He lives out in the middle of nowhere in the avenues.
Yes, I know where he lives.
Way out there, right at the end. You know, pretty close to the end.
Yeah,
and which is a foggy but pretty area. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And I think he at some point might do that. And I'm trying to get him. I'm pushing him toward learning the European style of butchery.
Oh,
which is different.
Which is halal at this point.
There's two guys in the audience that'll get that joke.
Yeah. The Jew and the Arab.
The French cuts are different than the American cuts of beef and pork and lamb. And some of those cuts are pretty interesting, and they let you cook differently. And I just mentioned this to him, hoping that...
Is it possible to expand on that? I've never heard of the difference in cuts.
Oh, yeah. The French cuts of meat are pretty much alien to how we cut our meat. And it looks different. It's just cut differently. It's just, you got an animal, and you can, for example, just with a normal animal, you can cut T-bone steaks, or you can cut little fillets in New York. I mean, it's like that's two different kinds of cuts of the exact same piece of meat.
Okay.
And or porterhouse would be a better example.
Do they have names?
Yeah, they do. I don't know any of them offhand.
I am genuinely interested.
Oh,
yeah.
There may be a butcher in around there. There's a lot of butchers can do French cuts.
Good.
And it's if you go to the old recipe books, like the old original Gastronomique or some of the very old Carême and some of these really old French chefs, and you read their books, they talk about cuts, and you go, "What the heck? I don't know what this is." And it's a certain recipe for a certain cut of meat that we do not make in this country because you can cut the meat all kinds of different ways.
I have learned something new.
Yes, you have. And I assume the Germans have a different way of doing it, too.
I need to commend you and congratulate you on being, hands down, without a doubt, the most skilled and expert email marketer in the business.
Why is this?
The news,
yes,
because of
a good one.
Because of the newsletter.
Yeah.
Which is always good, always enjoyable to read, but it showed up in some people's inboxes in a rather peculiar way. I tweeted a picture of it, how it shows up. But there was something about, what was the subject line about analysis?
Yeah, let me see what the real...
Like real analysis? No.
Yeah, this is a real... let me go look it up.
You did write it yourself.
I know, but I can't remember one thing from one day to another.
I could probably find it if I really wanted to look for it.
Well, I just look up my own name in the email box, and it should be there at the bottom. It is, but there's a bunch of other crap in the way.
This is very funny.
Here it is. Your best analysis. Your best analysis.
That was the subject line of the email.
Your best analysis of these scandals.
Right. And it showed up.
I guess the iPhone and some of the mobile devices.
Not the iPhone email, the regular email. It didn't show up that way. But I'm pretty sure Gmail truncated analysis to anal.
Yeah, it says your best anal.
Yeah, well, anal.
Anal. So
I can't believe it got through the spam filters.
Well, no, it got through the spam filter. Then it was truncated after the spam filter.
Right.
That would be the way it works. You're not gonna mess with the headline yourself, and then, hey, wait a minute. And then,
did you get a huge open rate?
I haven't checked the open rate yet.
Well, so that was funny, and congratulations, good work.
I had to be very amusing.
I know you planned it. That was very well done. We should try more. Count the
your best analysis, or I'm thinking of ways of
count the characters, and you can do many more fun things. Dictator, all kinds of fun things.
Yeah,
but in there you also
Mark.
I'm going to call you back. Are you on the Comcast or on the? Hello?
What's the question?
Yeah, you're cutting out a bit. Are you on the Comcast or on the other one?
Oh, I'm not. I'm on Comcast.
Can you switch? You can do that seamlessly, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, you do that. It's magic. In the newsletter, while you're doing that, there was a mention of the FIFA scandal. Very interesting. This came out of nowhere, and I shall play you. Let me see. Do I want this? No, I want to wait for you to kick that off. Let me see if you're back. Hello? Now that's so seamless.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Your AM radio. Hold on. It should shake out.
It'll snap out of that
there you
quickly.
Go. All right, you're back. Good.
I switched over seamlessly.
Lovely. All right. I have a couple clips, but take us into the FIFA because you wrote it up in the newsletter, and I also have some ideas about it.
All right. Well, I have a number of. I looked at all. This is one of those things. I recorded all the network TV, national news feeds.
Yeah, we need a backgrounder on what's going on.
And what happened was, we got the new Attorney General, and she decided
Loretta Lynch.
Loretta Lynch decides to, who used to be a country western singer.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was just about to say that. That's Loretta Lynn, but yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, it's good enough.
She decided to make a name for herself because the other Attorney General wasn't going to go after the bankers, and apparently she's not either. But they decided some easy pickings. These 5 FIFA guys, which we've bitched about for years, and it's not news to us. And so she decides to go after them for corruption because the United States did not get the 2022 World Cup. It went to Qatar, and it was obviously because of bribery. And so they arrested a bunch of people, found money, found guys who flipped, and they put a case together in concert with the Swiss, who, if you listen to the analysis of why the Swiss are involved, of course, the FIFA headquarters, and so is the IOCC, I guess. Those
guys will be next. If
no, they will be next because the current Swiss government decided that they do not want the reputation of just harboring a bunch of these would-be racketeering criminal organizations in their country. They just don't like it. They just say they were fed up with these guys. They bring a lot of money through, but most of it is, illegal. They don't need it. So they've decided, okay, we're all in on this. And so they jumped in bed with us. And so the best version of this story, it turns out, I think is on
ABC World News.
I think it's ABC the one. Yeah, I think so. Let's play that.
Now to that World Cup bombshell tonight. All of those questions, why did the U.S. lose the World Cup? Well, now a massive crackdown by the FBI. 9 top officials accused of taking $150 million in bribes and kickbacks, briefcases stuffed with cash. Raids around the world tonight and right here at home in Miami. And ABC's chief investigative correspondent Brian Ross following the money.
With officials hiding behind bed sheets, the biggest scandal ever in the world's biggest sport unfolded in dramatic fashion this morning, with arrests in Zurich, Switzerland, and an FBI raid in Miami at the offices of the officials who oversee soccer in the U.S. and Central America. In all tonight, 9 of the most powerful men in the soccer world stand accused of taking tens of millions of dollars in bribes, cash in a briefcase in a Paris hotel room, wire transfers to offshore bank accounts, even an expensive painting delivered from a New York City art gallery. All for the officials' vote, said authorities, on where World Cup and other FIFA tournament soccer games would be played and broadcast.
This really is the World Cup of fraud.
The winner is Qatar.
The investigation began after the U.S. narrowly lost the 2022 World Cup to the country of Qatar amid allegations of bribery. But almost immediately, there were questions about the wisdom of holding the World Cup in the Arabian desert heat in one of the hottest places on Earth, as we saw. Now about 1 in the afternoon, and the temperature is just at 124 degrees. Had the U.S. won, it would have meant an estimated $5 billion to the 18 U.S. cities which would have hosted the games.
I think the ultimate victim is soccer writ large.
But investigators say they also discovered payoffs that benefited the U.S. Some $30 million in alleged bribes to bring a major tournament, the so-called Copa America games, to the U.S. for the first time.
This is making world headlines tonight. Brian with us now. We saw 124 degrees when you were there in Qatar, which had us puzzled at the time. But any chance of a revote tonight?
Well, it's not official saying the World Cup in Qatar in 2022 will go ahead as scheduled, despite the allegations that it was bought and paid for, David.
All right.
Before your analysis, quick 13-second clip from CNN.
Why should the U.S. investigate and arrest? Well, that's simple. If you break the law on U.S. soil and if you use their banks to do it, don't be surprised when the hammer comes down. And by the way, when they get you on white-collar crime here, they throw away the key.
What?
Yeah, he's a Brit. He didn't know what he's talking about.
What is he talking about?
That's totally bull crap. Okay. All right.
I guess you saw Bernie Madoff. That's what he's thinking.
I have, the hammer down. Martha Stewart. And James Comey was there at the announcement, along with Loretta Lynch. I have those clips, which may be interesting to just listen to, because they did a press conference. It was Loretta and Comey, and everybody was there. And I think it's valid to listen to, because I found this very strange that, that obviously there has to be something else behind it other than using our world-class financial system for fraud. Here's the brand new Attorney General.
Yeah, no, I'm going to stop there.
Well, we can.
I'm going to agree with you on this. Something else is going on, because this is not. Why are we? Because there's somebody's using our banks for fraud? Are you kidding me?
Let's listen to what the Attorney General says, and I have an idea, but then we can start to deconstruct, because there's a lot of different things that could be in play, or maybe all of the above.
The 14 defendants charged in the indictment we are unsealing today include high-ranking officials of FIFA, the international organization responsible for regulating and promoting soccer, leaders of regional and other governing bodies under the FIFA umbrella, and sports marketing executives who, according to the indictment, paid millions of dollars in bribes and kickbacks to obtain lucrative media and marketing rights to international soccer tournaments. The 47-count indictment against these individuals includes charges of racketeering, wire fraud, and money laundering conspiracies spanning 2 decades.
And I'd like to point out that you'll hear from James Comey in a moment. None of the HSBC executives committing massive fraud with money laundering with Mexico. No one went to jail. No one was indicted. From drugs. Exactly.
Yeah. Beginning in 1991, 2 generations of soccer officials, including the then presidents of 2 regional soccer confederations under FIFA, one being the Confederation of North, Central American, and Caribbean Association Football, known as CONCACAF, which includes the U.S., and the South American Football Confederation, or CONMEBOL, which represents organized soccer in South America, used their positions of trust within their respective organizations to solicit bribes from sports marketers in exchange for the commercial rights to their soccer tournaments. They did this over and over, year after year, tournament after tournament. Now, the criminal activity that we've identified did not solely involve sports marketing. Around 2004, bidding began for the opportunity to host the 2010 World Cup, which was ultimately awarded to South Africa, the first time the tournament would be held on the African continent. But even for this historic event, FIFA executives and others corrupted the process by using bribes to influence the hosting decision. The indictment also alleges that corruption and bribery extended to the 2011 presidential FIFA election and to agreements regarding sponsorship of the Brazilian national soccer team by a major U.S. sportswear company. In short, these individuals, through these organizations, engaged in bribery to decide who would televise games, where the games would be held, and who would run the organization overseeing organized soccer worldwide, one of the most popular sports around the globe.
Of course, no one gives a crap about it here in America. Interesting points here. Very annoying that she does not mention who the sports marketing companies are. I believe there's something called the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, and I don't know if they're bribing politicians, but it doesn't seem out of the question, huh? There's no evidence of that. But really, so they used the American banking system, fine, and we're a member of some organization I'd never heard of before, which may be big in the soccer world, and we're a member of that. None of this seems warranted to have everybody show up and this big it's just crazy, it's just outrageous what is going on. We can't have any of this. Here's Comey.
It's an honor to join the Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney to announce this important case.
And he is the director of the FBI.
Which demonstrates, I believe, that if you touch our shores with your corrupt enterprise, whether that is through meetings or through using our world-class financial system, you will be held accountable for that corruption. Nobody is above or beyond the law. Soccer, football, is an egalitarian sport. It is the beautiful game because the pitch is flat. It is available to anyone and everyone, no matter where you come from, rich or poor, boy or girl, you can enjoy the beautiful game. It has lifted billions around this globe and is an incredibly popular and fast-growing sport here in the United States. The game, according to the allegations in this indictment, was hijacked. That field that is so famously flat was made tilted in favor of those who were looking to gain at the expense of countries and kids who were enjoying the game of soccer. There's a danger that cynicism creeps into our lives and that folks shrug and say, well, that's just the way things are. That may be the way things are, but that is not the way things have to be. And one of the important lessons of this case is that we will not stop until we send messages that this is not the way things should be.
Yeah, message in a bottle. Now, they had this huge infographic in the background, and I set it up so you can take a look, John. It's FIFA.grumpyradio.com.
Great.
I thought that was a fun little domain name for us. Grumpyradio.com. And you can see here they have the Enterprise. You got it?
Getting it.
Okay. Okay. So they have the first slide is, you see FIFA, and then there's a CONCACAF, which we're apparently a member of. And then you see below big red sports marketing companies, which to me is messaging. But the second page, if you scroll down a bit, is even better. the sports marketing bribery scheme, who are unnamed in this indictment, who just unnamed. It's just a major...
you can look it up. Traffic Group is one of them. I found that while you were talking.
Good. Right. So you can see here how the money flows and how these sports marketing companies are pretty much in the middle, and they're the pass-through of all of this money. And sports marketing, what do they market exactly?
I don't have no idea.
They market players?
Probably media rights. I would say they're in between. They probably have something to do with it's like sports agents. What do they do? Except
Jerry Maguire.
Deals. They do deals.
So there's a couple of ways to. There has to be something else behind this. This just it was too big. Although Comey is well known for grandstanding, he's the guy that threw Martha Stewart in the slammer. Big hero Comey. Now the director of FBI. So it could be a Clinton-related thing, saying, "Oh well, Qatar gave money." And then all of a sudden, they were the host city for 2016. That's possible.
Well, that was mentioned in the newsletter. It turns out that the Clinton Foundation is somehow interconnected with this scam.
Could be. Also,
and it may be an out to get Clinton. We're seeing more and more of these.
What we've been talking about for years.
Yes, about subtle Clinton, go after Clinton by going after the foundation and the library.
According to reports, President Putin said, this is just another blatant attempt by the U.S. to meddle outside its jurisdiction. Russia...
I would agree with that.
I think there's an element of that.
It's not our jurisdiction. You used our bank. You rented a car.
Oh, well, the Department of Justice has jurisdiction in the United States. I think that's what he means. And who knows how that's translated from Russian. But the Russians have the 2018 World Cup. So maybe that's... there was actually, I thought
there may be some connection there, too, because we're always just giving it to Russia.
There was... somewhere there was a... here it is. Yeah. Some senators picked it up that way. I'll read this to you. U.S. senators call for resignation of FIFA head Sepp Blatter. And by the way, what kind of name is that? Sepp Blatter.
Sepp Blatter?
Sepp. S-E-P-P. Sepp Blatter. B-L-A-T-T-E-R. U.S. senators call for resignation of FIFA head Sepp Blatter for supporting Russia 2018 World Cup. And this is McCain, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Menendez said allowing Russia to host the World Cup would bolster the Putin regime at a time when it should be condemned. So whether this was...
They have Snowden.
Whether this was the plan or not. But I think there's something else behind it. This happened 2 days before the announcement.
The beautiful game has become the latest playing field between Israelis and Palestinians.
And when I say the announcement, I mean the announcement of the indictment on corruption charges.
A world sport turned into a regional conflict. The Palestinians want Israel suspended from FIFA, and they want a vote at the FIFA Congress.
We are not interfering in the business of the Israeli Football Federation. This proposal is due the acts and failures of the Israeli Football Federation with regards to their obligations toward FIFA rules and regulations.
The Palestinian Football Association objects to Israeli teams in the West Bank. They also say Israel restricts movements of Palestinian footballers. The Israel Football Association says that's a question of security, which it has no control over. Association President Ofer Eini says football can bring these two sides together instead of forcing them apart. Overseeing this political sport, FIFA President Sepp Blatter, who says the world's most popular sport could be a bridge for peace. In a visit to the region, Blatter met with both sides, football associations and political leaders, to find a solution. He suggested a match between the national teams in Zurich.
Football has the power to connect people. Football has the power to construct bridges. And I'm coming here to try to construct bridges.
Blatter opposes the vote that would be at the next FIFA Congress scheduled for the end of the month, but he says it's within the Palestinian Association's right to call for it. He says Israel follows all the FIFA rules, and he doesn't want to see a national team removed. The vote would require 75% of FIFA's 209 member associations to suspend Israel. When Blatter was asked what he thought the outcome of the vote would be, he said, "I'm not a prophet."
I believe this is one of the, if not the core reason that the United States came into action. Israel does not, screw it, you can't kick us out of FIFA. And of course, the claims are, and I think probably valid, they don't let the footballers practice, freely, move about freely. There's a whole list of things. And being kicked out of FIFA is a big deal. It's a lot of money and a lot of kickbacks and just a lot going on. And I think the bat signal went out. It's like, hold on a second, let's send these fuckers a message.
I think that's a fine analysis.
It's the best I can do.
I think it's not bad. It could be. I mean, the coincidence is too close. That's the, we have a coincidence here.
I think not.
And it was probably foretold. I'm sure that was in the air so they could plan for this.
Yeah. But it's also handy to take it and say, oh, Blatter has to resign. And Blatter, of course, is the guy saying, oh, go ahead with your vote. He has to resign, and then we add in there, you can't have Russia.
Some guy's not going to put up with that.
You can't have Russia hosting the 2018 games.
And then you can give Russia the needle.
But knowing what America does for Israel.
And I think, by the way, this may be the reason, because we picked up on from various, I got it from a comment, actually looked it up. The Clinton Foundation has not been brought into the story.
No.
By the mainstream media.
Not mainstream, no.
We brought it in, and I think other people have noticed it. But it's not in the storyline. In fact, what you said is not in the storyline either. So the storyline is just, look at the corruption. Let's bust them.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure it's related to
us throwing our weight around.
Yeah,
which we can do.
We're very good at it. Extremely good at it. Speaking of Israel, why have there been no ISIS attacks in Israel? Why do we not have ISIS in Jerusalem?
Well, you read the memo, the Defense Department memo.
Yeah. Could you refresh my memory?
Yeah, the Defense Department memo says that we, the Western groups, need to create the Islamic State for various political reasons, and then we can continue our rebelization process.
But we get ISIS at the border and ISIS in America. We get all that. Israel doesn't get that.
They're crawling all over the place. There's one walking down the street right now. Wait, let me look and see. Hey, go home, go back.
Nothing to see here.
ISIS. We will follow them to the gates of hell. ISIS. I feel good.
Shut up, slave.
Nice.
All right, I have a couple of things, just shorties.
Stubby.
This is an interesting little, the Walker Museum. I'm not sure what the punchline is. I've forgotten the punchline of this story. But the Walker Museum, which is one of the most important museums in the United States, art museums, it has a huge collection of.
Where is it?
I've been there. Beautiful.
Where is it? Where is it located?
It's in Minneapolis.
Okay.
And Minneapolis is kind of an artsy town. Minneapolis, St. Paul. They're kind of artsy towns. They have a lot of really cool museums, and they have like public art that's really not well done. And you go roaming around, and art is everywhere. There's in restaurants. It's all over the place. It's a very unusual place for that. So they've decided to start selling at the Walker. They decided to start selling what's called intangibles.
Intangible, something you cannot touch.
It's something you cannot. It's an experience as art. And so you buy these intangibles, and you get nothing really.
Well, what kind of experiences are they selling?
Well, one of them, for example, the guy on PBS NewsHour.
I like that. We that's what we sell.
Yeah, well,
we sell intangibles.
It's also tangible.
We're not selling anything, but
we're not selling
deliver.
Anything. We're just asking for help.
We deliver intangibles. Yeah.
The guy here's one of the things. He got a dance performance in the middle of the park out of the blue. Just by he's bought the thing. He bought whatever it costs, and then they give you get a set of instructions. So walk into the park and go over the bridge and say hello to the guy in the orange.
Oh, it's like a rally.
Well, it's a little bit, but it's usually for one person. And so you go, he does that, and then the guy, he says hello, and the guy starts dancing around like an idiot. And that was his experience. And then another one will be a bunch of, there's one artist, one photographer for $100 you get a series of his photographs specifically made for you on Snapchat. So as they appear, they disappear.
Oh, I don't have Snapchat.
Well, if you don't have Snapchat, you wouldn't buy this intangible.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I thought you said specifically for you as in me. No, I get it. Yeah.
It would be specifically for you if you had Snapchat.
I got it.
But there was a little anomaly in the report that I just was taken aback. When I first heard it, I had to replay and go, what are they talking about in this regard? Play this, and tell me if you can spot the anomaly.
It's a pretty tangible intangible.
And I'm also trying to cover up holes in the wall.
Nice. Monica Larson was one of Intangible's first customers. She bought what was advertised as a potential art exhibit by the design team known as Rolu.
Maybe the doorway that I was just talking about could come in a little bit.
When we met her, that exhibit was becoming a reality in her own living room. After purchasing a zip drive of images and videos, she selected or curated the pieces she wished to display.
Well, tangible, intangible was
you missed
the
it.
anomaly. I missed it? Oh,
yeah.
What was it?
And it has nothing to do with the story. It's like after purchasing a zip drive.
Yeah, that's a tangible.
A zip drive? Who has a zip drive? Zip drive hasn't been on the market for a decade. What are you going to do with a zip? You ever see one of these things? They're big clunkers. So you have a zip drive. You look at this thing and go, what the hell is this?
The chat room knew it, by the way. Zip drive. Let me see. Can you still buy on eBay, I guess?
No, who would buy one?
Oh, that's right. It has the big hard floppy.
Yeah.
That's what she said. Oh, man.
So where is this report coming from? This is PBS, our great news hour, and they're talking about zip drives?
Let me see if Amazon still sells them. Hold on. That'd be funny. Zip drives.
I actually have a USB zip drive.
I'm sure
that
you do.
Actually, plug in and on any USB system and actually read a zip drive if I had any. I don't even have one anymore.
Here you go. Still for sale. An iOmega 31714. USB 100 megabyte. Woo! 100 megabyte. I laugh at you. Zip drive, $81.50.
Yeah. For $30. For $30
yeah.
On Amazon, I bought for $30, $36.
Yeah.
I bought 128 gigabyte thumb drive.
Oh, of course. Yeah, that's a good anomaly. I wouldn't have caught that. I forgot what a zip drive was. Yeah, that's 1996. 95? Yeah.
I'm listening. That's why I said I had to go back because there was something stuck in my brain after I was watching this report.
That's very funny.
Yeah.
I'd like that. You can, I don't know if I can call this an official Red Book check mark because it's not really being marketed by a huge firm yet. So it may have to stay in. But Monday after our show where I said, you watch Cricket Flour coming to cupcakes, I started getting all kinds of emails. Here it is from nextmillenniumfarms.com. Chocolate zucchini cupcakes with cricket flour.
Yeah. See, here's what I'm not giving you any credit for this. And I'm going to tell you, want to know why? Ask me why.
Why?
Because I believe this cricket flour thing has been going on for a while. You read about it.
I wouldn't lie to
you. And it's stuck in the back of your brain. You forgot that you read about it and you threw it out. This is old memories, a repressed memory. You probably repressed it. I would have repressed it. Ugh, cricket flour. And then you repressed it, and then you brought it out.
Okay.
For a minute, I'm not crediting this.
I'm sitting there going, oh, man, I could use a cupcake right now. Let me go see on the way. Ooh, cricket flour.
Look, buy these.
Someone's buying it. I'm telling you, they're going to look your own daughter-in-law.
My daughter, not my daughter.
Oh, even worse. It's your own flesh and blood.
Yes.
As far as we know.
Bugs.
Yeah.
Bugs.
Yeah, bugs. Maybe people like that jingle.
Which one? The bugs?
Yeah, the bugs jingle. Yeah, I think I should play it. Yeah, because that's people. Oh, that's my favorite jingle of the moment.
I love bugs.
Tastes like
while the FIFA thing was going on the same ABC News on this exact same show, they actually ran the following story that I'm going to play. Not breaking news, but important newsmaking by Hillary.
This is new. Newsmaking
by Hillary, and they gave this report. This is the entire report. which was nothing more than a ABC again, nothing more than a free plug for Hillary with a stupid story.
Hillary Clinton, in the meantime, making headlines of her own tonight. We've seen the effect the White House can have on a president. People have long joked about the evolving gray hair. Tonight, Mrs. Clinton making a prediction.
I've been coloring my hair for years. You're not going to see me turn white in the White House.
Hillary Clinton and her prediction tonight.
Yeah, I had the same clip.
Did you see those women in the back?
That's what I wanted to talk about, because
cackling.
The woman off to her left, from our viewpoint, she has a whole bunch of pearl
blonde.
Yeah, she has pearl bracelets.
Yeah, the fat blonde.
Yeah, yes, Rubenesque.
Yes.
Let's listen. I think my clip, you might be able to hear it even better.
Hillary Clinton, in the meantime, making headlines of her own tonight. We've seen the effect the White House can have on a president.
Just listen to her.
Have long joked about the evolving
and she's clapping like a crazy person.
Making a prediction.
I've been coloring my hair for years. You're not going to see me.
This has some kind of... why is that so hilarious?
It's not.
It must be something about women who, I don't know, age and color their hair. I don't understand. It's like, oh, wow, gee, like the President Obama colors his hair.
Yeah, he has to.
Yeah. I picked up a quick little bit, which is part of a prediction that or something we had talked about the Castro brothers from Texas.
Okay.
And this was the report.
One Democratic ally considered a potential running mate by some should Clinton win the nomination called it a sideshow.
What you have here with his emails is basically a witch hunt.
Clinton is dominating the field, a far cry from the crowded field of Republicans competing to be their standard bearer.
So that is one of the Castro brothers from Texas, now mentioned as a possible vice presidential candidate.
With Clinton?
Yeah, they're Democrats.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing that.
Yeah.
Well, that's not. These guys are deluded.
Well,
deluded.
Well, he didn't say that. It was Andrea Mitchell who said it.
That he's deluded?
No, she said potential vice presidential candidate.
Well, she wouldn't have said it if it wasn't something they're talking
something going
about.
on. Yeah, exactly.
Deluded. They're deluded.
Well, yes.
What they're really doing is they're soaking them for money.
I got an answer. We've been asking, and by the way, what's his name? What's his name? The Republican
Santorum.
The other guy. He just announced this morning. I saw it.
Another one.
What is it? Bradley? No, who is it? Bradley.
Bradley Cooper.
Hold on, I'll look. Announces run for president. Another guy. Another blast from the past. George Pataki. He announced this morning he's
good
running.
Luck.
But here's how it works. I got a
good. I'm waiting for this.
Yeah. Okay.
Why are they doing this? What's the money scam?
Okay. The money scam is the following, and this is from the Christian Science Monitor, funded by all kinds of interesting groups, but it looked pretty good to me. The election is over. What happens to all the campaign cash? This is from 2012, but it kind of explains. So when you raise money for your campaign and you don't win, if you don't spend it all, you still have money left over. There's a number of things you can do with it. And here's the Federal Election Committee spokeshole. Surplus funds may be used in connection with a future election. Funds may be transferred between authorized committees of the same candidate without limit, as long as the committee making the transfer has no debts outstanding. And then there's some legal pointers. Alternatively, a candidate may redesignate a former campaign committee as the principal campaign committee of his or her current campaign and use the excess funds of the previous campaign in the current campaign. So, and in this article, the way it's, of course, you can't spend it on hookers and stuff, but you can go quite far in this. But the real deal is you can become a kingmaker. You can have, if you raise a lot of money, or even several $1 million could be important to someone else. And so all these, it's a power game. So you will have other pieces of money, and I think all these guys are just jumping in so they can travel in private jets, and there's a lot of things you can continue to do, even though you're no longer running in your campaign. You can designate a committee that will then spend that money on another candidate. So it's really about becoming a kingmaker or a valuable contributor to the actual winner's campaign.
Yeah, okay.
That's as far as I could get on.
Very political. It sounds right. And you get to, live it up while you're running.
Our country and Western star Loretta Lynch, before she started the FIFA indictment speech, you didn't see the whole thing, did you?
No, I didn't see any of it.
I watched the whole thing. She started off with this. Somewhere. Hello. Oh, bad edit on my part. Sorry. She's coming in.
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, good morning.
Thank you all for being here today. Before we begin with today's announcement, I do have a brief comment to make on the situation regarding FISA. As Attorney General, I am committed to ensuring that this nation protects the civil liberties of every American while also keeping our country safe and secure. Unfortunately, some of the vital and non-controversial tools that we use to combat terrorism and crime are scheduled to shut down on Sunday, making this not an ordinary weekend. The House of Representatives has passed a bipartisan bill called the USA Freedom Act that would extend these tools while addressing important and valid concerns about other aspects of the government's ability to protect data. But without action from the Senate, we will experience a serious lapse in our ability to protect the American people. Today, I join the President in urging the Senate to work through the current recess in order to make sure that we can continue to appropriately safeguard this country and protect its citizens. Now, for today's announcement.
Okay. Now, when she's talking about tools, I wondered if there was something about encryption in the Freedom Act. I could not find it in the bill that passed the House.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like people to help me on this, because there is reporting here and there that this specifically deals with encryption. The word encryption, as far as I could tell, doesn't even show up in the USA Freedom Act. But there are some other things that we haven't discussed since all of this was changed. It's been through committee and it went through a vote. And just a couple things I thought were interesting to mention should this pass. Now, we know that what this really does is it allows the federal agencies to just say to the telco companies, okay, we need this, this, and this, give it to us and we'll take a look at it. And oh, by the way, run it through this company, FireEye, or whatever interim party, and you are indemnified. And so there's a couple things in the Freedom Act that are worth noting. Section 102, emergency authority for production of tangible things. Yeah, that's interesting. That's random number theory. That comes up, tangible comes up twice. Notwithstanding any other provision, Attorney General may require the emergency production of tangible things if the Attorney General, A, reasonably determines that an emergency situation requires the production of tangible things for an order authorizing such production. B, reasonably determines that the factual basis for the issuance of an order under this section to approve such production of tangible things, and informs either personally or through a designee, a judge having jurisdiction under this section at the time that the Attorney General requires the emergency production, and makes an application in accordance with this section. So there's a couple steps, but you can then acquire all tangible things. That could be computers, drives, zip drives, for all I care. It can be a number of things. So this new Attorney General is clearly manipulable. Manipulable? Is that the right term?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's in this all in the FIFA thing. I thought it was kind of interesting to start up with a FIFA announcement with a FISA comment.
Yeah, that is odd.
Liability protection. This is the one we need to be looking at. Section 105. No cause of action shall lie in any court against a person. Person can be company. That's how the law works. Who A, produces tangible things or provides information, facilities, or technical assistance pursuant to an order issued or an emergency production required under this section, or B, otherwise provides technical assistance to the government under this section or to implement the amendments made to this section by the USA Freedom Act. So there's your complete indemnification. If you hand it over, if you even help them, if you even hand over the zip, and all of it, you're completely indemnified. And Section 106, as amended by 102 of this Act, the government shall compensate a person for reasonable expenses incurred for producing tangible things. So everyone makes out, they make money.
They can't get sued.
All right. Just all super duper.
I'd like a lawyer out there to tell me the following. Right now they can't get sued. What if they changed it back and they just dropped this whole thing, or during this moment where it's not going to be passed because it's going to expire for a couple of days, then they're going to all freak out. What about during that moment? Can you sue somebody? I mean, does this last forever? And is it even legal? Is it possible that the Supreme Court could throw out the indemnification clauses, throw it out saying this is bullshit, you can't do this, and then you can be sued? Well, there's large company. I'd be if I was a large company, I wouldn't be all in on this.
Yeah. Well, there was, to me, the big gotcha was at the very end, page 44, section 701, sunsets. So remember, this is the USA Freedom Act. And here in section 701 of the USA Freedom Act, it says, USA Patriot Improvement and Reauthorization Act of 2005 is amended by striking June 1st, 2015 and inserting December 31st, 2017. Effectively, the USA Freedom Act extends the Patriot Act until 2018. And B, Intelligence Reform and Terrorism Prevention Act of 2004 also amended by striking June 1, 2015, inserting December 31st, 2017. So what the hell is this all about? You can argue all you want about the USA Freedom Act, but what it does is it extends the sunset provision of maybe...
I didn't know this. This was not revealed to me.
No, well, I didn't know this either, but this is the version that passed the House.
What's all the fuss about, June 1st is going to expire. What are we going to do? We're all going to die.
Because people don't read these documents.
But it's like the congressmen that are saying it.
Yeah, but they don't read the documents, I guess. It's disgusting. It takes a VJ.
And your VJ.
Yeah. Hey.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh, yeah, that'd be fab. No agenda in the morning.
We actually do have some people to thank for show 725. And let's find out who they are and thank them. Starting with Brian Waltersdorf in Maryland Heights, Maryland. He came in with $176.57.
Now, he's going to be a knight, so maybe read this note.
Yeah, we'll read his thing because he's going to be a knight. He's Sir Brian of the Mac and Cheese, St. Louisiane. Into the Order of the Pugner. I think there's a few people in that order. My co-worker showed up to work yesterday talking about his kids, or taking his kids to the Destination Imagination 2015 Global Finals in Knoxville, Tennessee over the weekend. It's the NASA Disney program to inspire kids from kindergarten through elementary level to get involved with space.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know. He told me the keynote speech by Buzz Aldrin at the opening of the convention, welcoming delegations from all over the world, including China, Ukraine, and Korea. He was astonished at Buzz's performance for the kids. I couldn't find any news reports on it, but I found a few YouTube clips, which I combined to this full clip of the speech. It might be a little long for the show. We didn't notice.
Yeah.
It would be brilliant, drunk or not drunk. Yeah, right. Actually, we saw
Buzz Aldrin was drunk?
Well, that's what he says it's a possibility. It wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, okay, onward.
Oh, he wanted a drunk or not drunk jingle.
Drunk or not drunk.
There you go. And we'll be knighting you in a bit, Brian.
Donald Borowski in Spokane, Washington. I think it's Spokane Valley. He sent a note because this came in on the over the transom, and unfortunately,
what does transom mean?
Over the
wire,
the transom, or it came over. It came through the door, and I only read his notes. Well, maybe he is in Spokane. There's another guy from Spokane Valley. No, it says Spokane Valley. That's where he's from. Eric left the valley out. It's
a transom is the flat surface forming the stern of a vessel, a horizontal beam reinforcing the stern of a vessel, a strengthening. But I don't know what you're talking about, man.
It's a colloquialism. I only read this because it comes in on official stationery from the United Federation of
Planets. Of course. This is through the transom, then.
Yes, exactly.
By definition.
In the morning, gentlemen, he says on his note, my pittance is not enough to turn around the trend of low contributions. But as the Reverend Sharpton says, resist we much.
Yes.
Keep up the good fight. Don Borowski, WA6OMI.
73s. Could you send me a picture of the stationery? I'd like to see that.
Okay.
Good.
You can probably look it up. I'm sure it's online. Everyone who's a member of the Federation has
stationery.
Has stationery.
Oh, excellent.
Edward Holsey in San Francisco, California, $100. He thought that he liked the FIFA cat in the newsletter.
That was good, yeah.
Well, the joke was it's fixed. Get it?
Yeah.
Cat fixed.
Yeah.
So I know some people didn't get it. Ben Smith in Greenville, Texas. $100. Got a birthday coming up. Michael Bowling in Watsonville, California. And Bowling also sent a note in through the transom. And I believe he's going to be knighted. So he wrote a handwritten note that is unreadable.
Okay.
He's something about something. I'd have to look it over.
We like the idea that people are sending handwritten notes, but really,
I do. And this is written appears to be written in pencil. It's just too. I don't know. That's right. That's what he sent some coasters in. He is actually, this guy is no slouch. He is an engineer with a big aerospace company. I won't mention their name.
Okay,
but they're big and they're noteworthy. And I think
there's only a few, John. It's okay. We get it.
It's big.
Yeah, it's really big.
And he sent a challenge coin from something they did, the company, and then he sent a couple of coasters, which apparently they've passed around at the company. And on one side, it's got a little puppy dog and it says, if you see something.
Oh, no.
You flip it over and it says, say something.
If you see something, say something.
And on the back, it's got a mother duck with 3 ducklings following her and a small chick from like a hen following the 3 ducklings. And there's a big duck and there's like following and thing. So this to these guys is hilarious because if you see something, say something, and there's a chicken in a line of ducks. This is, the level of humor we're dealing with here with the government.
That's almost a Bill Nye Science Guy level humor.
And it's totally Bill Nye. Anyway, he just wants to be knighted as Sir Bowling. I would say bowling for dollars or something, but it's bowling's fine. William LaRock in Locust, North Carolina, $99.99. Daniel Boylan.
There you go.
I forgot about that completely.
That's okay.
Daniel Boylan in Chicago, Illinois, $82. Chad Biederman in Round Lake, Illinois, $75. Mark F. DeWitt in Saudi Daisy, Tennessee.
It's a cool name.
That's a great name for a town.
That's a great name for a disc jockey. Hey, everybody, Saudi Daisy with you here.
$65.48. Todd Creamer.
Another great name. Todd Creamer with you here.
It is a great name. Scotts Valley, California, right down the street from me, $60. He's got something to say. No, Rules of Fight Club. Steven Schwartz in Shirts. Texas, 56.78.
Kilo Alpha 5 Whiskey Juliet Yankee, 7-3s in the morning.
Yes. Richard Zula, 56.70. Where's 56.78 coming from?
5678.
Oh, 5678.
It's a great number. One of your favorites.
And he's starting, this is going to give him $5.67 a month from now on.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Richard Zula in North Huntington, Pennsylvania. 52. I just said that, 5678.
I think when we mentioned that you need to get your ham radio license, it works. People are getting their ham radio licenses because of our show. And this is very good. This is a very good development. You need this. I'm still monitoring 33 Charlie on the D-Star. Not hearing much, but
I'll get back on the machine. I'll get back on the horn later.
Last night I checked out your reflector, 14 Charlie, and I fell into the after show net of Ham Nation.
Oh, right. It goes over that repeater. Yes.
Well, everyone's talking about the show and checking in. I checked in. It's like, hey, KF5SLN here. Yeah. Sitting in Austin. Just checking in. No traffic.
Did you say anything about the show?
Yes, I did see Ham Nation, and they had a nice segment about a home builder guy who did amazing work. So
that show is not that bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
No. I mean, there's two good shows on that network.
I wish they had, there's a little bit too much ICOM in there. Now they're kind of just doing a whole
ICOM
segment.
owns the show. That's true.
They own the show. But I like when they bring in stuff about digital things, which these guys don't really like. They're not really into it. They're more the big AM, boom. Bob Heil, of course, famous for his microphones and other audio products. And but they had a home builder. Like a guy's 80 years old. He's built. They look like store bought. So beautiful. Just it was very nice to see from a tech-erny point of view.
Kaylin Nistor in Northville, Michigan, double nickels on the dime. Josh McDonald, double nickels on the dime from parts unknown. Bob Cahill in Indianapolis, Indiana, 5432. Steve Hutto in Denver, Colorado, 5115. And the following people are all $50 donors. And, we didn't get a lot of people in this segment, but we do have some 50s. Geek Rolling in Pasadena, California. And he says, Love 342. Not sure what that means. Jason Fortune in Geneva, Illinois. David Dural in Malta, New York. Douglas Tharp in Salt Lake City, $50. Former donor, current boner, scruncher, and I miss Adam's drum lines.
It's coming back. He means a drum cadence is what he means. Big fan of the cadence.
Carrie Smock.
Smock.
$50 in San Diego, California. Got a birthday for Bill Smock, who turns 50 this week.
Nice.
Ross Turpin in Troy, Kansas, $50. Gerald Inabene. Union, South Carolina. Sir Peter Totes, parts unknown. I think he's in the UK, if I'm not mistaken. 50. Bryn Evans in Berwick, Victoria, Australia. Shad Rich, I think he's a sir, because he's Anne de Bendigo.
Yes, I think so too.
In parts unknown. And finally, last but not least, Edward Williams in Colleyville, $50. A long-time $5 subscriber. The last show was amazing, he says. Show 724.
Amazing, like Immaculate Conception amazing?
No, just amazing.
Amazing, okay. Well, good, thank you. We try very hard, and we appreciate that everybody pitches in one way or the other. Lots of people do. We have artists. We have people who make jingles. We have, sitting in the chat room helping out from time to time. That's also valuable. And, of course, everyone who supports the show, that really is what keeps us moving forward. And also thanks to everyone who's on a monthly. We don't mention anything under $50 for anonymity, reasons of anonymity. And that's your crystal glass again.
Yeah, how's it sound through this mic? Should sound crystal clear.
Do it again. It sounds pretty good. Are you on a different mic?
No, it's the same mic.
Oh, it sounds very good. Impressive. You should do it more often.
No.
Dvorak.org/NA.
All right.
It's your birthday.
And we say happy birthday to Richard Zula, turning 41 on June 1st. Ben Smith celebrates tomorrow, May 29th. And Carrie Smock says happy birthday to her husband, Bill, turning 50 this week. Happy birthday from all your buddies here at the best podcast in the universe.
It's your birthday, yeah.
Now we have Sir Sheets, who becomes Baronet Sir Sheets of the Cuban Leaf. And we have we have 3 knightings today. This is very good. Do you have your blade next to your crystal?
Yes, I do. I'm pulling it out now.
Very good. And I would like to, here's my blade. I'd like Mr. T to step up, Brian Waltersdorf, and Michael Bowling. All 3 of you, please. I'd like to thank you for supporting the best podcast in the universe in the amount of $1,000 or more. You hereby are welcome to join the table that is round of the knights and the dames, and I pronounceate thee Sir T, Sir Brian, the mac and cheese in St. Louis on, and Michael Bowling becomes Sir Bowling. Gentlemen, for you we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Drams and DMT, Johnny Walker and Green Label, Raspberry Pies and Breakfast Burritos, Root Beer and Legos, Cuban Cigars and Single Malt Scotch. We've got Hot Pants and Booze, Wenches and Beer, Vodka, Vanilla Bong Hits and Bourbon, and Mutton and Meat. It's a favorite of all who attend the round table. Go to noagendanation.com/rings And Eric the Shield will be happy to take your measurements and your address and send it off to you. Yowza. I have had this thing on my rundown list for a couple shows now about Reddit. And I guess we knew it, but kind of forgot that Ellen Powell, who tried to sue Kleiner Perkins, she's the CEO there.
Yes.
And she made a statement recently, which I thought was interesting. It's not our site's goal to be a completely free speech platform, she says. So Reddit will be ruined because people are going to be, stuff will be deleted. But more importantly, Reddit is not, I'm sorry?
Well, I'm saying she's big talk. You know, doesn't mean Reddit's going to be ruined or they're going to actually do anything.
Okay.
Will they moderate?
Well, let me see what the rest of the article. What article this was from. It's the harassment for bullying. Yeah, they're going to be deleting things. Yeah, it's bullying. Yeah, they're going to be deleting things for bullying. Of course, you know that's going to happen. But maybe more exciting is that Reddit is now an official funding partner of Tor. Good work.
Huh.
Yeah. So I'd say...
Are we doing tech news? Is that what you're doing? How come you didn't play the jingle? I got tech news.
I didn't know it was tech. Well, I was just...
Well, that's tech news.
Well...
Just because it's not a watch or a phone.
No, but that's tech. You don't know what tech news is.
I know what tech news is.
No, tech news is about Hail Apple.
Hail Apple.
All right. It looks like Motorola.
Oh, sorry. Here we go.
The only good phone's a landline, and the phone should be made out of Bakelite.
All right, everybody. There you go. It's tech news. John C. Dvorak has tech news. Tech horny. Hail Apple.
I thought you were still talking about your story.
Well, I have stories, but
okay, well, let's do a little tech news. Let's do a little combination thing.
Combo.
On only one of the networks played this particular story, which is I found weird. It's the Airbus 330 Singapore engine failure story, which seems kind of disconcerting.
We turn now to that scare in the air, a passenger jet virtually brand new, somehow both engines giving out at the same time, dropping 13,000 feet. ABC's David Curley with what those pilots did next.
With 194 people on board, it was a wide-body Airbus A330 like this one that suddenly lost power to both of its engines. It was cruising more than 3 hours into its flight from Singapore to Shanghai at 39,000 feet in bad weather when the engines shut down. No power. The jet would lose 13,000 feet in altitude before pilots were able to get both of the engines working.
When you've got a highly computerized airplane, maybe this was a glitch in the program, a glitch in the software. Whatever it was on a new airplane, it's highly unusual.
Singapore Airlines tells us the first engine restarted almost immediately. Procedures call for the pilots to descend, keeping speed up, and then turn the engine start switch to try and reignite the jet engine. It worked. The jet landed safely, and mechanics found nothing unusual on the weeks-old jetliner.
David, this happened over the weekend. We don't even know if passengers were aware. Singapore Airlines, Airbus, and the engine maker Rolls-Royce apparently still trying to figure out why both engines shut down. David?
All aboard, train's good, plane's bad. Woo-hoo.
This report did a better job than most reports I read online, which had the headline, "Plane plunges 13,000 feet as both engines fail."
Nice.
So they went into obviously a controlled descent, which is quite normal. And if they flamed out, there's no news yet. There's just not enough information to figure it out. If they flamed out, you're following procedure. You descend, and then when there's actual oxygen that can be used to refire the engines, you refire them. I don't know. It does seem very closely related to the Airbus, the 400. This is the military aircraft that two of them, I think, have crashed now. The most recent one killing a couple people who are on the test. But this is all unintended consequences of technology. Now you have to go look for bugs or
glitches.
This is pissing me off. Did you hear? I'm sure you heard about the iPhone text crash.
Yeah, well, here it is. Play the iPhone malware.
Okay. Well, I couldn't find it. Yes.
Well, Apple is working on a fix for a messaging bug that can cause iPhones to shut down then restart.
Oh, he said
Works
bug.
Like this. Users see a
bug.
text message containing a string of characters, some in Arabic, then their phones just crash. The bug is allegedly not limited to the iPhone. If the code is sent via SMS text, it can also trigger a shutdown of other phones as well.
Seems like some sort of malware to me.
I thought I had a clip from CNBC.
They call it a glitch.
Oh, 20 times. Oh, crap. What? Somehow I didn't. Maybe I'll find it before the end of the show. So a lot of people calling this a glitch. And I do know what happens. It's and because I tried it on myself. I had a friend send this message to me and it didn't crash. And I'm like, oh, this is bogus. But that's because I have all notifications turned off on my phone. That is the notification part of the the OS that can't. I mean, really, you can't handle double byte encoded stuff, or Unicode? Is that the problem with these Arabic characters?
Like.
So it's a relatively easy fix. But how someone figured this out, I'm not sure. Remember,
that's a funny gag.
It is. Do you remember there was a similar gag? It was a one-line I think it was a PHP one line, and if you had someone's IP address, then you fired that script, it would give Windows the immediate blue screen of death.
Oh, cool.
Now I'm talking, must have been 98 or something.
There's still stuff out there like that. Nobody cares anymore.
But it was fun. But I want to commend you. I don't know why I should be doing all this today. Nice article in PC Mag. The Internet of Things, a surveillance state in disguise.
Yes.
Very good. Link in the show notes.
That was actually triggered by some listeners who kept pestering me. What do you think about the Internet of Things? What do you think about the Internet
I know
of
that guy. I recognize his voice.
Yeah, I said, you've heard him. He's always around. What do you think about the Internet of Things? I haven't read that I have written about the Internet of Things now and again, but now I said, okay, let me just focus on the Internet of Things and tell you what I think.
Very good.
That's what I think.
Very good. And I have 3 clips from Vint Cerf, who is... I guess we have to be thankful because he helped create TCP/IP, the stack, IP, right? The stack. And of course, along with that goes Bob Metcalf, I guess, who came up with Ethernet.
He's the Ethernet guy, really.
Well, but that kind of goes hand in hand. And so Vint Cerf, and he works for Google. I
don't think he works there anymore, does he?
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Oh yeah. He's a VP, senior advisor, etc. And he's so Googleized that he's arrogant. Well, here's an example of his arrogance, and this is the thinking that is inside Google at a VP level, at an advisory level.
Google talking, right?
And this is very telling. Just a short clip. He started MCI Mail. This was the email service from MCI. It was pre-internet, I guess. Was that pre-internet? MCI
yes. It was coincident, but it was pre-web.
Yes, pre-web, and then he left, and then he came back, and so they had MCI Mail, but the internet was taking off, and MCI Mail didn't make much more sense. And so they decided to shut it down. But just listen to the arrogance. Understand how Google thinks about its users.
And around 2003, it was very clear that charging people for email wasn't exactly a great business model anymore. So we shut down the MCI Mail service. And I got a whole bunch of angry emails from reporters who said, I've had my MCI Mail address since 1983. How can you do this? But the honest answer is that it was time for that service to go.
Yeah, that's how Google thinks. He could have easily given forwarding email addresses or something like that.
They could have set something up if they wanted.
But he actually does the voice. Like, my. So that's how that's the thinking inside of Google about users when they're just going to shut something off because they don't give a crap.
They do. And Google does that constantly.
Mm-hmm. Here's the Internet of Things clip from Vint Cerf, and obviously he's all in.
So you can do me 2 favors. One, as individuals, talk to your ISPs and demand an answer. When am I going to get IPv6 addresses? I want dates and times. And second, as reporters, will you kindly do the same thing, but do so with the megaphone that is afforded to you by the Fourth Estate? Now, why do I care about having lots more IP addresses? Well, one answer is that the next wave of stuff is the Internet of Things. You all know know that.
Yeah, yes.
But this is real.
It's real.
Every appliance that you can possibly imagine is shifting from electromechanical controls to programmable controls. And once you put a computer inside of anything, there's an opportunity to put it on the net. Now, there are good things and bad things about that. The good thing about the Internet is everything is connected. The bad thing about the Internet is everything is connected. So we really need the address space in order to accommodate this explosion of devices. Cisco says that there may be 50 billion devices by 2020. And they may not be as crazy as it sounds, because every light bulb could potentially have its own IP address.
My light bulbs have their own. Well, they don't have their own IP address. Internally, they do. The Philips Hue that I've been playing around with. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. But so he's shilling very hard for the IPv6. I don't know.
Yeah, he wants IP. He has a T-shirt that says IP everywhere. It's one of his jokes.
Why is it so hard for IPv6? Why don't people I see it. I see my computers have IPv6.
Yeah, it's all prepared. Yeah.
Okay.
Because the back end, the infrastructure on the other side,
still not already.
It's not cheap.
Right.
Yeah. Here, spend all this money for IPv6 that really not that many people really give a shit about.
Yeah, they've got their IP address. They don't care.
Yeah, I got them on the net. What do I need this for?
There's
aggravate, and you can never write it out what the IPv6, what your IP address is. It's like 1,000,000 miles long.
Yeah, you can't remember it like we used to. I might be able to remember a few. There's now a market in IPv4 class C address space. You can sell that at a nice markup because we are running out.
Well, we'd run out, actually. If it wasn't for network address translations, we wouldn't have enough.
Now, here's the last clip, and this
we fake it.
Yes, we do. This boggled my mind. Here is Vint Cerf debunking the net neutrality issue. I don't think he even knows what he's saying. No, in fact, I know he doesn't know what he's saying. And he is telling us why Netflix is buffering. Now, the popular story we heard, the story that the president has reiterated, that every tech-orny person has said, oh, this is because of how the peering is working. They're not paying for it and all the transit fees. No. Vint Cerf is going to tell us what is really happening.
The label is buffer bloat. And you might think, okay, so what is this? When you're watching streaming videos, have you ever noticed that sometimes they get real jerky and things slow down and the delays are going up and you sit there waiting for things to reload?
He's describing Netflix buffering issues, I believe. Could also be YouTube, but I think he's saying what we're talking about here.
Well, it turns out that it is not true that having more buffer memory space is always a good thing. Let me explain. You have a router at home, typically. Maybe it's supplied by a cable or telco company, or maybe you bought one and installed it, or you hired a geek to do that. And so this thing has memory in it. And imagine for a moment that you're running a local network at home and it's running at maybe 100 megabits a second, or maybe 10 megabits, or maybe even a gigabit per second. But the connection that you have out to the rest of the world is not running that fast. Unless you happen to be on one of the Google Fiber networks, in which case you're getting a gigabit per second. But most of them don't quite get to that speed. So what happens? The program that you have running inside the house is pushing data like crazy into this buffer, which is filling up and emptying slowly because the data rate on the other end is slower than the rate at which you're pumping it in, which means that there is increasing amounts of delay from the standpoint of this sender over here, waiting to hear acknowledgments coming back from the other end. At some point, the program inside your house is saying, oh my God, they didn't get what I sent. I better send it again. And so you keep retransmitting. Pretty soon you create a highly congested condition. So it's counterintuitive, but what you have to do is to design the system so that it doesn't put too much buffer space in the path. It should put only enough to deal with the differential between the high-speed and low-speed side. Of course, this also works in the other direction.
To me, that is an undocumented, not discussed issue that most certainly could be, has been attributed. What are you doing?
I actually don't know what he's talking about. And I don't know what relationship it has to net neutrality.
Okay, well, you were playing with your toys. You weren't listening.
No, a bunch of stuff fell over. I was picking it up.
So he says sometimes you get buffering on Netflix. He didn't say Netflix, but buffering. And he says that is attributed to buffer bloat in your router. And not so we've never heard that part. People may be experiencing buffer bloat, but thinking it's some other net neutrality issue. Okay.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
Gee, all right. Don't hurt yourself.
I won't. Believe me. Okay, back to the tech news.
I do want to mention the No Agenda Show servers are all IPv6 compliant. Thank you very much. Void Zero.
Void Zero is the best.
Yeah, hell yeah.
How's he doing, by the way? So I sent him a note when he was ill, and
he's doing great. He's great. He'll have a pretty interesting announcement coming up in a month or so.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on. Smartphone usage research. I think was an interesting little tech news item.
Smartphone. Where are we? Oh, here we go.
Smartphone.
Wait,
usage.
A segment about phones?
Well, see, tech news without a phone is like a bicycle without a woman.
An annual report on technology trends reveals some interesting statistics on the mobile habits of young adults. First off, 87% of those between the ages of 18 and 34 always have their mobile devices with them. Most say the first thing they do when they wake up is reach for their smartphones. And secondly, 78% spend more than 2 hours a day using their smartphones.
There you go. Very interesting.
And I wanted to mention along with this, I have been experimenting with keeping the phone completely silent, all notifications off. I even have the what is it, do not disturb thing on. And it is fantastic for a couple of reasons. One, your battery life is extended by at least a third.
Yeah, a month.
Maybe even 33%. It's really quite noticeable. And second, no Pavlovian responses. You just pick up the phone from time to time. No one needs to get me in a hurry. If they do,
you're not a surgeon on call.
I'm not a fireman. I'm not. So I don't. It's easy for me to say. And you can even set up your iPhone so that special numbers do get through if somebody calls. But this has been such a lovely change.
Well, my phone right now
is off.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's off.
I also have started turning it off. If I go to spin class, I'll just turn it off. I'm not going to leave that thing on.
Spin class.
Yes, spin class. Yes, spin class.
All right. Let's get onward with the more tech news. I got Tech News Digitally Connected story.
Mm-hmm.
It says giggitally. So starts with the word tech.
Okay. Got it. Here we go.
A new report shows that in 5 years, 80% of the entire world's internet consumption will be dominated by video. Cisco published its annual study today looking into the near future of the internet. The study shows part of the growth in online videos will come from adding new people to the World Wide Web, and more than half the world's population will be digitally connected.
Great.
All right, last story, and then we're done.
Let me interject one. Before you
got one?
Yeah, I'll let you do the final. You get the final. Paul Krugman.
Oh, your buddy.
Yeah, he is the on staff economist, economist for the New York Times.
For the elites.
Yes. Do you read him or you don't read him?
Yeah, once in a while.
He published his column titled "The Big Meh." MEH.
Oh, the big meh.
And too long, don't read. He says that even if you take in all of the technological advances into account, that really the contribution to the economy is pretty much just as crappy as we were in the 70s and 80s, that it has not added anything to our bottom line. And he said, well, we keep hearing about Internet of Things, and it's going to change everything, and maybe. But all this other stuff, according to his calculations, has not really changed our bottom line as a country.
Not good for him.
Well,
probably true.
Yeah.
I think most of this is bogus.
He said the techno revolution, it was a one-time spurt, which about a decade ago it sputtered out. Since then, we've been living in an era of iPhones, iPads, I don't know. It's very funny, Paul. But even if you adjust for the effects of financial crisis, growth and trends and income have reverted to the sluggishness that characterized the 1970s and the 1980s.
Yeah, the 1970s in particular, because this is a 40-year cycle, and you have a down decade, and you had in the 70s, you have in this decade, and that's that.
And
so that's a bit specious.
Don't tell the president.
Right. All right, I have one last little story, and this is really, it's just kind of tech news. This is I don't want to play the clip yet. This is a SpaceX, so you can cue it up.
Mm-hmm,
now, you always like to talk about the wars between Airbus and
Airbus and Boeing, yes.
Airbus and Boeing. What do you think's going to, I'm just putting this out there for thought. Maybe I'll write it up in the Red Book. What do you think's going to happen to Musk and Tesla and SpaceX if this story actually goes into play?
Well, I don't know exactly what the story is, so
play it.
Oh, okay.
The Air Force has certified the California-based SpaceX rocket design and manufacturing company to launch military and spy satellites. A joint venture between Lockheed Martin and Boeing has had a monopoly on those launches since 2006. The privately held company is headed by Tesla CEO Elon Musk. It already contracts with NASA to ferry cargo and crews to the International Space Station.
What is going to happen to those guys?
Don't you think that this is a bit much? They're stepping right on Boeing's territory here.
It's a good way to don't get in the hot tub, Elon. The hot tubs are not your friend in this case.
You know, Boeing's always seen as friendly company. They're nasty competitors.
Yeah.
They took McDonnell Douglas out.
Well, we know that there's at least the possibility that there's an all-out war between these two. This is so big, these aero.
This is
space
billions
defense.
and billions of dollars, and then nothing to sneeze at.
No,
it's a rough game.
And it's easy to kill people.
So we'll see. I just thought I'd throw that out as the end of the tech news segment.
iPhone, schmyphone. The way I see it, the only good phone's a landline, and the phone should be made out of Bakelite.
You let them run over weak and innocent people. It'll be everybody next. You stupid, self-centered yuppies. I will kick your ass. I am sick of your crap.
Oh, gee. Is somebody monitoring this guy's paroxysms?
Yes, they do it so we don't have to.
Well, they're doing a great job.
Yeah, it's great. But I did have a minor tech.
He blew up that much.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know he blew up that much.
Apparently. I did want to mention we started a No Agenda Slack.
Yeah, I saw the invite for that. I didn't know if it was, did you send me one or was it part of the, let me grab your whole address book and send everyone an invite?
No. You can add your domain name for people to auto sign up. I'm certainly not going to be taking emails from people and manually sign them up, but you can't add gmail.com. You can't add yahoo.com, but I was able to add hushmail.com and hush.com. So you just need a little account. But it's very interesting. First, I like that these guys have everything wide open. You can add RSS feeds. You can.
Well, let's stop for a second and tell me what is this product?
This product is, in short, a front end to an IRC server. Not that that's the technology, but when you look at it, it functions just like an IRC server. You can create channels, but it's a web interface. You can actually connect to it with an IRC client. You can connect to it with an XMPP client. It's all the same thing, which is why it makes it interesting. And we have one of the oldest type of decentralized, although this is not decentralized, one of the oldest type of chat room systems being IRC. I always like it when people repurpose things, and it's the context of it that makes it work. And I have to say, it's interesting. We have 70 or 80 people in now.
Why would I want to join it?
You don't.
Is it a chat room?
Yes, in a way, it's a chat room, but of course, it's it's not a full time. Everything is archived. It's all searchable.
Oh, the chat room with an archive.
Yeah, that's one way of looking at it. It's all the context, but the context is interesting. So
context is king.
Yes, and I have. I
like that. I'm going to write that one down.
Context is king. Okay.
I amuse myself.
Yeah. Somewhere. You didn't have anything on the PBS Frontline? I thought you would have a couple
of clips. The last one that came out,
I thought you would have some clips.
No, I didn't make any clips because it was too hard to make clips because it was a propaganda piece.
I'll say.
And it was such a contrast to the previous one, which I mentioned, I think, in the newsletter. The one that they did on the what was it the week before we talked about, and I forgot already.
Yeah, I forgot too.
It was about something bad. And then they did this.
Oh, it was about the Osama bin Laden.
Right. It was about the bull crap the surrounding bin Laden.
Yeah.
And this one was about torture. It was about torture. It was about CIA.
Yes. That's it.
And this one was about the war. And it just seemed what bothered me is they had this ex-ambassador, and he's coming out talking about how come it was promoting boots on the ground is what it was doing.
Yes, 10,000.
And they were bringing out these old memes. Oh, they're using they were using gas, and they were going to
chlorine gas,
which has been debunked to an extreme by universities and everybody in between. That it was the rebels that used the gas, not the Syrian government. And when I started seeing this old bullcrap memes appearing, I said, "What is this? This is not normal." And so I'm guessing this was like some sort of after they did that blast, the previous one where they had the Feinstein and that report, and they were just giving it to everybody. I think this was a make good.
Yeah, I did watch the whole thing, and I found it interesting that no one from the Obama administration cared to appear on the program, but little Smurf man, what's his name, Dempsey. He was interviewed. He was all over it.
Oh, yeah, he was all over it.
But I don't see how he gets a pass to do that.
I don't know.
I didn't
think it was a good show. I thought it was
I agree.
Very slanted.
I agree. I did catch a Bob Woodward. Now, Bob Woodward, does he have a political affiliation?
He's the CIA guy.
Oh, Bob Woodward?
Yeah.
Isn't he one of all the president's men?
Yeah. He's the guy. He's in the book.
Okay. Then it makes sense.
He's the guy who's the ex-intelligence guy that was brought into the Washington Post as a favor to someone, and he writes all these books that no one could possibly be writing.
Yes, that explains this clip, which I might as well play.
Yes, well, I mean, Iraq is a symbol, and you certainly can make a persuasive argument it was a mistake, but there's a kind of line going along that Bush and the other people lied about this. I spent 18 months looking at how Bush decided to invade Iraq, and lots of mistakes, but it was Bush telling George Tenet, the CIA director, don't let anyone stretch the case on WMD. And he was the one who was skeptical. And if you try to summarize why we went into Iraq, it was momentum. The war plan kept getting better and easier. And finally, at the end, people were saying, hey, look, it'll only take a week or two. And early on, it looked like it was going to take a year or 18 months, and so Bush pulled the trigger. A mistake certainly can be argued, and there's an abundance of evidence, but there was no lie in this.
How does that jibe with anything?
Oh, wow.
Besides being
That's a gem.
Besides being a CIA show.
I was watching back then, I was watching Wolfowitz in testimony. Literally say, we know where the weapons are. We know specifically where they're buried. And he went on like this. It was just a right lie.
Well, how does it even jibe with the Wes Clark 7? Oh, I don't know what that was. That was actually the Wes Clark 7.
Yeah, the band.
That was strange.
It doesn't. And I would say that this is, again, the approach of just let's just rewrite history and have the right guy say it over and over and over again, like the Frontline show that talked about the gassing of the civilians, which was not done by the government, and it was proven not to be done by the government.
Correct.
Let's just keep bringing it up. We did the media will go along, and let's just rewrite history for whatever reason. There's some reason behind it, and that's apparently what Woodward's up to here. Let's just rewrite history and just say, you repeat a lie enough times.
It becomes
times,
and then, and on Memorial Day, this happened.
At 5:30, a drone crash right in the middle of a Memorial Day parade in Marblehead. The tiny aircraft hit a building, then hit a man. The drone's operator told police he never thought the gadget could do any damage.
Ryan Katz spoke with the victim, who fortunately...
Yeah, this is the problem. I never thought it could crash. That's impossible. It's technology. It can't happen. It's not possible. How can that happen? I didn't expect it to crash.
Well, you bring that up. We should mention the 6-week cycle is upon us.
June
1st. Just when the Patriot Act is supposed to expire,
there would be a good time for a big scare
or a bunch of little scares, which I think is the model they're using now. Mm-hmm. And then a commentary about all our homegrown terrorists are all over the place. They arrested some guy the other, just big right wingers are all up in arms about this. Oh, they found two guys. They were horrible terrorists. They're from, I don't know, San Diego or someplace. They were going to join. They were going to fly to Turkey and join ISIS. So who cares? If they want to fly to Turkey and go kill themselves with these idiots, I don't see what the big deal. How's that a threat to us? Oh, well, they're going to come back and they're going to kill themselves here. None of this makes any sense.
I wonder. I would think it would be some form of planning for an EMP, because the EMP has been big most recently.
I don't know. I'm not buying that one.
Well, it would be someone who planned an EMP.
Oh, yeah. Well, the whole thing's going to, whatever it is going to be bogus.
Also, this, what's his name? Cantley, which I read it as Can't Lie. That's the Brit who still apparently is held hostage by ISIL. And he's reporting now in this new magazine. So it's what is this thing called? There's a new, not the Inspire. It is. What is this thing called? Oh, Dabiq. Bad name.
Dabiq?
Dabiq. Dabiq. Bad name.
That's a bad name. It sounds like a fountain pen.
Yeah. And in this, so he has a column. This hostage,
John Cantley, he has a column.
Yeah, he has a column. Yeah,
everybody's trying to get into the act.
Yeah. Well, he's over there and he's got nothing better to do. He's got his orange suit on. Might as well write a column. And he says, "Oh, it looks like ISIS is ready and has enough money to acquire a nuclear weapon."
Oh.
Yeah, and that, of course, would be used for an EMP. I'm just trying to lay it out as possibilities for the 6-week cycle. If anybody has any other ideas, we're open to them.
Well, we'll see shortly, because most of these are just FBI sting operations that they set up some dummy. They haven't had anything, interesting, like the naval base shooting. That was kind of interesting, and the maniac doctor who shot up the Fort Hood shooter. That was unusual. Yeah. And some of these other things. Another theater shooting would work. But they got this other guy on the stage now, this clown from Aurora. And they revealed his notebook. And I wish I wrote some of it down. They showed pages of it. We got to get a hold of his notebook.
Oh, this is the Joker?
The Joker. He's got the notebook. And some of the stuff in the notebook is crazy. The guy has been programmed.
MK Ultra.
You can see the programming fail. And the failure of the programming is what caused this incident. I'm sure of it. If you look at it, but somebody's got to have a copy of the notebook, because they released it I think the prosecution has.
We need a copy of this, is what you're saying.
Because there's some lines in there that are like, because they were showing it on TV, and there's some crazy one-liners in there. Like, what does this mean? So that's got to be obtained.
I think we can also see some form of international incident or accident in the South China Sea. There's just too much of this, and
they're doing too much of a lead up.
Yeah, we had CNN all of a sudden. Yeah, we had CNN. Oh, we're on the secret spy plane. No one's allowed on it. I immediately got emails from our friends in military who said that's not the secret spy plane. That's one. That's a plane.
Just a surveillance plane.
Yeah. And someone else said if it was really the Chinese Navy, they wouldn't have said this is Chinese Navy. They would have said this is the Army, Army Navy, something Chinese.
Yeah, you always have everything's a division of the Army. There's no Chinese Navy.
Yeah. And
well, I've got one good, funny kind of a thing left.
About time.
So I just was tuning in. I was eating breakfast, so I turned on the.
What were you eating for breakfast?
I was having oatmeal.
The way you make it?
Yeah, the good way.
Good. Excellent.
And I caught the Kelly and Michael show, the Kelly Strain, whatever it's called. Kelly Ripa and Michael Strain.
I haven't watched that since it was Regis and Kathy Lee.
Yeah, well, that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now, it's the same show, and they're yakking, and this Strahan guy, who is a nice enough guy, but he has a lisp, and he's always got this phony laugh.
Where's this guy from? I don't know anything about it.
He's a football player. He was a defensive end record set for the Jets, I believe, New York Jets. Okay. And he went into media, and he's personable, and he's got a big gap in his teeth, and he looks normal, if you call that. He's only except he's 6'8" or something, and big. But they go on and on about this. Kelly Ripa has a story about her. I guess she sends her kids to some private school in New York because it's pretty much the only thing you can do. It must cost a fortune.
Yeah.
And she's discussing, which I think is the most decadent, almost insulting camping trip that the kids go on, which is an urban camping trip, where they go in with no money and they're supposed to spend the night in New York somehow, like poor kids, like homeless kids, in some very pretentious way. I just found this extremely insulting on many levels, as people were laughing and thinking this was so funny and it was so great that the kids would have life lessons. And then at the end, I'm prefacing the whole thing for you. At the end, she talks about her son when he did this. He had a real life lesson, and then the anecdote she gives is not a life lesson in any way. It's some bullshit. But anyway, play.
But she's going. Is it like a camping trip, or is it just?
It's what they do is they go camping. It's a sort of it's a life experience trip where they camp throughout the city without any money. The 5 boroughs of Manhattan without money, and it's a team bonding experience. So they live in shelters they wash dishes for their lunch, and they live a life of children who might not have anything. Mm-hmm. And except I caught her cell phone. I was like, "What's this? You can't have $20 in your." She's like, "No, I need to hide $20." I'm like, "No, you cannot hide $20. No." She's like, "All the other kids are hiding $20." I'm like, "Not this kid." So I had to toss her bag before I packed her bag.
And then half the kids, you're like, "Well, they got a credit card anyway." So it's like, okay. Right. Oh man, but that sounds like an interesting program.
I remember when my son did it, and he got so much out of it. And one of the greatest things happened to him. He's a very low-key kid. Mm-hmm. You know Michael, and he's a lot like your Michael, as a matter of fact. And they were on this trip, and they were in a diner, and they had offered to do their dishes in exchange for a meal, and which they accepted. A lot of these people know that these kids are coming in, and the show was playing in the diner, and one of the kids, because Michael would never say anything, but one of the kids in his group said, "That's his mom," and so they gave them their meal for free without having to wash the dishes, which really irritated me because that's not part of the program.
They should just, these kids. I don't know what to say about that. That is extremely elitist.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Disgusting.
It's elitist and insulting. And then she says he had the greatest experience, and then the greatest experience was getting recognizing his mom on TV. How's that? Anyway, that's the New Yorkers and what they think is like a life experience. They go real camping.
Go camping. Like, actually go camping. What an idea.
Camping and run into
What
animals.
A crazy idea. Go camping. All right.
Anyway, I thought I'd bring the show down. Sorry.
That's okay. I'll bring it back up with a nice end montage, and it's all hell's about to break loose. I can see the skies are almost black here in Austin.
Nice.
So, yes. Thank you, amigo.
And thank you.
Yeah, we'll be looking forward to another show on Sunday. Thank you, everybody, checking out the live stream in the chat room. Coming to you from FEMA Region 6 here in downtown Austin, the Crackpot Condo. In the morning, everybody. My name is Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm just sitting here waiting for it to rain, and I'll be waiting for months, I'm John C. Dvorak.
We'll be back on Sunday with another episode right here on No Agenda.
We are here, #America, near our hashtag target. Soon.
Snap your fingers, snap your neck.
Adios, mofo.
Power face and the walk.
flying over Afghanistan, or maybe it was Pakistan. I promised myself to aim myself at every woman, child, and man. That was on my list. I don't care if I missed. I'm remote controlled. I do what I'm told by someone at a computer. Obama gave me a push, more than Bush, and I cost millions. I'm supposed to target terrorists, but not so much civilians. I don't know what to say. Whoops, some got in my way. A drone again, naturally. A drone again, naturally.
Adios, mofo.
I'm Joe Biden, and thank you for taking the time to listen.
The best podcast in the universe. Dvorak.org/NA.